PokéMon, Cynthia's fiance at the beginning. Author, Legend Love Powder. 201 Mega Dragon Ascent, the strongest dragon! Raw tilde. Mega Rayquaza swung his 100-meter body, shaking off the thin ice covering his body. Mulin stroked Rayquaza's body. The scales that had become incomparably hard again felt filled with emotion. Live to die. He realized one thing, that is Mega Evolution. It's not just a simple change of Pokémon form. Mulin shifted his gaze to the dark Kyurem. Feel the tense contest condition of the other party, he said softly. If he hadn't pushed us into such a desperate situation, we can't break out of our own shackles. Rayquaza, for this lovely rival, should we express it? Oh 3 tilde. Rayquaza swung the 100-meter body suddenly, soaring high in the sky. The dragon eyes stared coldly at the dark Kyurem, Lord of Soaring in the Sky, Supreme Authority of Mythology 427. Straight to the dark Kyurem, feeling Rayquaza, who was in step with him, Mulin's eyes were filled with boundless fighting spirit. Shouted, Rayquaza, cover yourself with Delta Air. Raw tilde. Mega Rayquaza's black gold skin shines like a jewel normal. The shining Delta symbol, reflected on Soaring in the Sky. Rayquaza, use the power we just awakened. Mega Dragon Ascent. Raw tilde. Mega Rayquaza changed from the previous high-pitched dragon chant to thick and full of suffocating coercion. The momentum is constantly rising. The golden ribbons fluttered wildly. The endless soaring in the sky seems to be boiling with it. Rayquaza, go. Tell the other party who is the real strongest dragon. Mulin's voice fell. Rayquaza's sharp dragon eyes lock on rival dark Kyurem, carrying the endless power of the 9 heavens. Launch the most terrifying, strongest blow that can destroy the world. Mega Dragon Ascent. The speed is extremely fast. Even Sabrina, who has superpowers, can't catch Rayquaza's breath. It can only be traced with difficulty, like the afterimage of black gold. Before Diablo Kyurem could react, Mega Flash Rayquaza had bombarded him. Boom. It's like the sky is falling, like fissure, like the sea turning and pouring. The devastating impact forced Diablo Kyurem into a huge pit. Within a radius of 20 kilometers, you can feel the violent trembling. Raw tilde. Diablo Kyurem rolls over in the pit. As the pinnacle of a first-level god, he could only get up with great difficulty. During the normal battle, I had Rayquaza's normal version of Dragon Ascent several times in a row. After that, it consumed a huge source of life. Create a freeze shock that can damage Rayquaza. But even so, Mulin led Mega Rayquaza to break through the encirclement. Just now, it even read Mega Dragon Ascent. Both energy and physical strength are close to the upper limit. However, the crazy factor in the dark Kyurem's mind has not faded away. Like the tail of an engine, fueled by life force. Spin vigorously. I also want freeze shock, which combines thunder and ice light. A cold light flashed in Mulin's eyes. How could rival make a move? Looks like rival still wants struggle. Then let's beat him until he gives up. Rayquaza, Mega Dragon Ascent. Crush the rival. Raw tilde. Rayquaza's black light shone, and turbulence covered him. Formed the armor that can not only defend, but also the strongest weapon to hurt the enemy. He blasted towards the dark Kyurem, who was unwilling to give up in the deep pit again. The earth-shattering explosion sounded again. The earth trembles. Endless gunpowder rises. Rebombed Mega Flash Rayquaza, paired with Mega Dragon Ascent, pushed dark Kyurem down to the surface. Diablo Kyurem, who fell continuously, has reached his limit. No matter how much you struggle, you can't get up. In the head of dark Kyurem, the DNA splices are forced out by Mega Rayquaza's powerful Mega Dragon Ascent. Losing DNA splices to maintain unity, Zekrom and Kyurem are completely separated. Lying separately in the deep pit, Mega Flash Rayquaza, with the help of Mega Dragon Ascent, who comprehends life from death, he completely defeated Diablo Kyurem. It is also true, who is the real strongest dragon? 202 Rayquaza, you want me to tame him? With DNA splices forced out, Diablo Kyurem split into Zekrom and Kyurem. 2 divine beasts were lying in the deep pit respectively. No longer a threat. In this regard, Mulin also directed Rayquaza to return to the crowd. Mulin. As soon as it landed, Cynthia immediately ran towards Mulin. Open your hands and embrace him in your arms. Rubbing him vigorously into her arms, she continued to inhale his smell through her nose. The thing about Mulin being frozen just now frightened her. Mulin, you scared me to death just now. I thought I was going to lose you. Cynthia was lost and found again, holding Mulin tightly and never letting go. Hey, with Rayquaza's protection, I'll be fine. Mulin rubbed Cynthia's little head, gently comforting the frightened little girl. From now on, you can't scare me like this anymore. Cynthia, who buried her head in Mulin's chest, stared at him with wide eyes. Mulin gently stroked Cynthia's smooth hair. Look at her big eyes that look like weeping. She replied, don't worry, there won't be a next time. Cynthia buried her head deeper, hugged Mulin tightly as if she was about to slip away. Kaluni stepped forward leisurely, looking enviously at Cynthia, who was hiding in Mulin's arms. However, with a restrained personality, she didn't say much. Just quietly beside Mulin, watching him silently. Unlike the forbearing Kaluni, Sabrina is much more direct. She has always been a maverick, and she never scruples the world's vision. Straightforward. Looking at Cynthia, who completely dominated Mulin, She frowned. She also wanted to reach out to hug Mulin, but found that there was no room left. She could only look up at Mulin, who was taller than her. He said straightforwardly, "Mulin, I was also worried about you just now." Sabrina's sudden speech stunned Mulin for a moment. He looked at Cynthia in his arms with some guilt. I saw that the little girl in her arms didn't have any dislike for Sabrina. Cynthia, hiding in Mulin's arms, also looked up at Mulin. "Just now, we all thought something happened to you. Sabrina, Kaluni and I are all ready to fight Diablo Kyurem." After finishing speaking, Cynthia came out of Da's arms. Looking to the side, Kaluni looked a little lonely. Asked, "Kaluni, are you right?" Suddenly being touched by Cynthia, Kaluni couldn't react. The roots of the ears turned red quickly, but soon, he nodded shyly, expressed approval. Mulin looked around. The three main battle Pokémon of Alakazam, Gardevoir, and Garchomp have all entered the Mega Evolution form. Exactly as Cynthia said. It is understandable that Cynthia desperately fights with Diablo Kyurem for her own sake. After all, she has been in love with herself for a long time. Sabrina, too, could barely understand. In Sabrina's heart, Mulin and she are the same kind. For this identity of the same kind, Sabrina obviously agrees with it. As for Caroline, according to Cynthia, Kaluni will also fight against the Dark Kyurem for herself. This made Mulin, who was a little surprised, turned his gaze to Kaluni. Kaluni blushed slightly at this time, but still bravely met Mulin's gaze. He responded with a smile. Lianwu and Grimsley from Unova Elite Four looked at Mulin enviously. A man who can be enamored by 3 region champions. Truly the pinnacle of masculinity. The other 2 women of Unova Elite Four, Chantal and Katia, looked at Mulin, who was like a savior, with adoring faces. Ask for flowers. Alder, who had been a fine man for a long time, looked at Chantal and Katia. He looked at Cynthia and the others around Mulin, and touched his nose. He muttered in his mouth, "Mulin, you are simply at the pinnacle of your life." Just as Mulin comforted the 3 daughters, Rayquaza was hovering in the air. A high-pitched dragon chant called out to Mulin. Hearing Lai Kongso's call, Mulin turned back. In the deep pit, the ice dragon Kyurem struggled to climb out. The originally asymmetrical wings were severely injured, unable to support him to fly. Seeing the ice dragon Kyurem come out, several people in Unova Alliance began to tense up. The 3 daughters of Cynthia also focused on the ice dragon Kyurem. Although Kyurem, the ice dragon, was beaten terribly, but with a figure as tall as 50 meters, and his reputation exposed to the outside world, it really made everyone nervous. In the myths circulating in the Unova region, the ice dragon Kyurem is almost synonymous with brutality and bloodlust. But at this moment, Mulin wasn't worried at all. Kyurem, the ice dragon, was beaten continuously. In addition, the power of life was used to fight. At this time he was extremely weak. It is no exaggeration to say that Mulin can bully him with just one hand. What's more, Rayquaza and Reshiram, who has preserved his strength, are on the sidelines. There will be no surprises at all. Rayquaza let out another dragon cry. Mulin, who communicated with Rayquaza, understood what Rayquaza meant. Point to Kyurem, the ice dragon, and look to Rayquaza. "You want me to tame him?" Rayquaza, who was hovering in the sky, nodded. 203 Kyurem, this wave is not a loss! Mulin never expected that Rayquaza actually told him to subdue Kyurem. A divine beast, let yourself subdue another divine beast. This is the first time I have seen this situation. In fact, the reason why Rayquaza asked Mulin to do this is also very normal. In the previous match, Rayquaza still had a good impression of the outstanding Kyurem. After all, there aren't many rivals you can play against him. Groudon and Kyogre, perhaps in the Primal Reversion contest condition, still have 2 tricks with Rayquaza. But the bloodline has been suppressed for thousands of years. It has already made the Flightless and Fathead fish unable to fight with Rayquaza. And Kyurem, the ice dragon, is a rival who dares to confront him. Although he lost the battle, he won Rayquaza's approval. Moreover, through the battle with the Dark Chief 350 Rem, Rayquaza has confirmed the title of the strongest dragon. But the strongest dragon is Xiodi, who has no dragon element. Although Groudon is called the god of the earth, but he can't fly, and he really loses face as a beast. What about Kyogre, the fat fish? Some bloated big heads look like they have a dull head. Bringing Icy Kyurem under his command can perfectly demonstrate his status as the bloodiest dragon. To be the strongest dragon, one must have a dragon-type brother. And besides, isn't the more things like this little brother the better? Anyway, Mulin has recovered Reshiram, and now there is one more ice dragon, Kyurem. It doesn't matter. Received the meaning of Rayquaza. Mulin said to the nervous crowd, "Don't worry, Kyurem won't hurt us." With Mulin's words, everyone's nervousness eased a lot. Mulin silently walked towards Kyurem, who came out of the deep pit. Many Kyurem, growled, prostrate on the ground. Kyurem also received what Rayquaza said just now. He who came over from smelling salts could clearly feel the reason why Rayquaza could improve so easily and beat him. It is completely derived from this tiny human being in front of me. For Kyurem, the 3 divine powers hidden in Mulin's body. It is a captivate. With Mulin, Kyurem saw the possibility of going further. Kyurem, who was prostrate on the ground, sent Growl to sleep. Okay. Mulin looked up and down at the well-behaved, but embarrassed Kyurem, although Rayquaza proposed the idea of letting Mulin subdue each other. And looking at Kyurem's appearance, he really wants to be subdued by himself. But for Kyurem, the Ice Dragon, it's normal to be subdued. Of course. The Ice Dragon Kyurem is strong. The attribute of Ice plus Dragon is the only one in the entire Pokémon world. But be it. Mulin is a face dog known from the Pokémon he tamed. Lucario is handsome. Darkrai is mysterious. Little Lugia is pretty. Huge Dragonite is silly and fun. Reshiram, not to mention, possessed the temperament of Holiness. But the Ice Dragon Kyurem the appearance is very normal. Short arms, rough shape coupled with its own violent and brutal temperament. It seems like a big old man. A pair of wings. One side is big and the other is small. This makes Mulin, who is somewhat obsessive-compulsive, not so fond of it. Feeling Mulin's cold attitude really hurt Kyurem's heart. After all, I am a beast. He let go of his identity so humbly. The other party actually detested himself. Kyurem can't figure it out. Why Mulin can accept Reshiram, who is also the 3 dragons of Tau, but can't accept himself. Not Open Forest but Kyurem, who is not cheerful, dared not do anything to Mulin. Rayquaza was still watching. After all. Embarrassed, Kyurem glanced helplessly at Rayquaza. Hey Rayquaza urged Mulin to accept Kyurem. Add a younger brother to yourself. Okay. Since Rayquaza wanted a younger brother, Mulin had no choice but to satisfy him. Searched from the backpack for a long time. Only then did a red and white ball come out. Mulin has very high requirements for holding Pokémon, and will make a good opportunity in advance before subduing Pokémon. And he's not a Pokédex collecting master either. So I don't usually prepare baby balls much. Throwing the red and white ball towards Kyurem. Come in by yourself. Red and white ball. Too much. Kyurem felt a little humiliated. After all, he is a beast. Just use such a low-level red and white ball to dismiss it. But it's okay to be disgusted. Kyurem still touched the button on the red and white ball. After all, the situation is stronger than people. After a burst of red light, it was collected into the ball. As the red and white balls stopped shaking, Mulin established a bond with Kyurem in his heart. Mulin picked up the red and white balls and released Kyurem. Kyurem, a little sullen, came out of the ball. Pokémon, Kyurem? Attribute, Ice, Dragon? Ability, Sense of Oppression. Give rival a sense of oppression, which can slow down rival's energy gathering speed and increase energy consumption. Level, 91, lower level God. Skills, Ancient Power, Dragon Breath, Dry Freeze, Dragon Pulse, Freezing Ray, Blizzard, Hyper Voice, Outrage. Exclusive skill. Glaciate, 4.8 Contest Condition. Injury? Remarks. The wings and tail can be used to store extremely cold air, and it can be manipulated freely. Injured. Now that the other party has been subdued, let's help him fix it. By the way. Mulin stretched out his hand to touch Kyurem's broken body, with the palm of the hand. The 3 divine powers were transferred to the opponent's body. Kyurem felt a warm current, repairing his body. The life force that it was originally consumed was quickly replenished. Kyurem felt his body getting better quickly, and his eyes brightened. This wave is not bad. Because of the depression of the red and white balls just now, they were immediately swept away. 204 Cynthia. This ideal is ambitious enough. After slightly helping Kyurem recover his life force, Mulin withdrew his hand. Kyurem looked at him resentfully. Okay, don't worry, I'll help you fix it later when I have time. Mulin gave Kyurem a blank look. After the war, Kyurem's losses were great. No matter how much Mulin's 3 divine powers are, he can't be shocked by this. Hey Kyurem nodded sensibly. Come back. Mulin took out the red and white balls and took Kyurem back as his minister. Weighing the red and white balls in his hands, Mulin planned to go back and exchange Kyurem for a better baby ball. After all, if you have conquered others, you have to treat them better. What's more, Kyurem's body is as high as 5,260 meters, and it is not good to live in a red and white ball. Rayquaza has worked hard on you this time. Mulin waved to Rayquaza from afar. After comprehending the skill of Mega Dragon Ascent, he has confirmed the title of the strongest dragon. In addition, he took in a younger brother of the dragon department. Rayquaza was in a good mood. After saying hello to Mulin, Baymission flew towards Soaring in the sky. After conquering Kyurem, Mulin returned to the crowd. Mulin. Kyurem. Is it really under your control? Cynthia looked at the red and white ball in Mulin's hand, with disbelief written all over her face. The reactions of the rest of the people were similar to Cynthia's. In response to everyone's surprised expressions, Mulin said with a smile, "Didn't you watch me subdue you just now?" After finishing speaking, he pinned the red and white balls on his waist. That's Kyurem, the ice dragon. Why are you so calm? Cynthia said what everyone was thinking. Fathead, it's just a Kyurem, what's the big deal? Mulin shrugged indifferently. Everyone was speechless for a while. Cynthia swallowed, remembering Mulin's holding Pokémon, Nightmare God Darkrai, Sea God Little Lugia, Giant Dragonite, White Dragon Reshiram. Except Earl Dervish Pokémon Lucario is a little more ordinary. There is also Mega Flash Rayquaza. It seems that the Ice Dragon Kyurem is nothing. Come on, no you're strong. But anyway, it's good to say that you're happy. That's Kyurem. Mulin smiled and didn't speak, as if they talked. They also disliked Kyurem's appearance just now, so they are probably even more speechless. Mulin looked at the standing Reshiram and asked, Reshiram, what about Zekrom? With Kyurem gone, Zekrom remains of the three dragons. Reshiram's chenwood-colored eyes looked at Mulin silently. As a real dragon, he was originally established with an ideal dragon. But now, they have been fighting for tens of thousands of years. The antagonism between them has been broken. A balance has been found between the real and the ideal. Extreme ideals and extreme reality are both undesirable. Perhaps, the ideal dragon will find better followers. Reshiram's voice sounded in everyone's hearts. Okay. Mulin agreed casually. Although Reshiram and Zekrom no longer confront each other, they have conquered Reshiram's mansion. Will not be greedy to take Zekrom back into the bag. And in terms of appearance, Zekrom is dark, not quite in line with Mulin's aesthetic. And Mulin who masters the powerful Pokémon. Zekrom's fighting power is just like normal. Hearing Reshiram's words, Cynthia's bright eyes rolled. Said to Mulin, Mulin, since Zekrom has no owner now, then I think, subdue Zekrom. Mulin replied casually. Zekrom and Reshiram are two Pokémon, they both have axes. People who must be recognized by them will be willing to accept them. You go with me. Cynthia tugged at Mulin's arm and said, okay 5:30. Mulin agreed. They sat on Garchomp's back with Cynthia and flew towards the deep pit. At this time, Zekrom has also woken up. The color of madness has subsided, only boundless exhaustion. Looking at the 30-meter-tall Zekrom, Cynthia felt safe with Wood by her side. With the support of Mulin, Cynthia walked in front of Zekrom generously. Cynthia used to be in the Spiral Tower and witnessed the whole process of Mulin conquering Reshiram. In terms of process, she still understands. To the prostrate Zekrom, with bright eyes in her beautiful eyes, she opened her mouth and said, Zekrom, I want to subdue you. My dream is to beat Mulin. Well, this ideal is ambitious enough. Mulin by Cynthia's side. A black line on his face. 205 one man and 3 women. Go home. Zekrom on his stomach, badly wounded. Looking at the holy Reshiram from afar, to be frank, he envied Reshiram's situation. He was one step ahead and followed Team Plasma Zen. Think that N can implement the so-called ideal, but in the end, N was powerless to resist, and even he was controlled by others. Following such an ideal brave man is really a disaster. On the other hand, Reshiram followed Mulin. Life is much better than him. Bai Long, who is warmed by the 3 gods of Mulin, has a faint tendency to break through the peak of the 2nd-level god. This may be the same dragon but different destiny bond, the same umbrella with different handles. If there is a choice, Zekrom naturally hopes to be subdued by Mulin, who is the fusion of 3 divine powers. But judging from the current situation, it seems that the other party will not accept himself because of Reshiram. Zekrom put away the grudge in his heart, and focused his gaze on Cynthia, who was looking excited and trying to subdue him. In Zekrom's perception, this hero has a very close relationship with the big one who possesses a divine power. Perhaps, be subdued by this woman. Also a good choice. At least Mulin will heal himself. And with regard to the ideal Cynthia just showed how to say tilde, pretty ideal. Following such a trainer seems to meet his expectations. Thinking of this, Zekrom uses telepathy. Voice, trainer, your ideal is very fun. The power of ideal is also very full. I would like to follow your will and accomplish your ideal career. Zekrom's weak voice rang in the ears of Mulin and Cynthia. Cynthia became even more excited when she heard Zekrom's words. He proudly raised his nose at Mulin. It looked like the other party was really moved by her lofty ideals. In response, Mulin smiled dotingly. Although Zekrom doesn't like him, he is still a legend. It is also a good choice for my wife to subdue. As long as you follow me, I will treat you well in the future. Come on, let's go through the process, Cynthia said bluntly. Raw tilde. Zekrom didn't get any ink marks, and quickly shrunk his figure with a low growl. The black light condensed and turned into a dark stone. Float to Cynthia. The moment when Cynthia's hand touched the dark stone, a bond formed between Zekrom and her. Yay tilde. I subdued Zekrom. I am a trainer with 2 legends. Cynthia, holding the dark stone high, jumped into Mulin's arms. Cynthia's excitement has 3 points, one of which is of course subduing Zekrom. Mastering the legendary ability, she is indomitable in the championship ranking competition. Second, with Kaluni and Sabrina's attitude towards Mulin. She also felt unprecedented pressure. But now it is different. She subdues Zekrom, then she is among the 2 daughters. There is an absolute right to speak. In this way, he is not afraid that the 2 women will threaten his position in the future. She can sit firmly in the position of mistress. Third, as a champion, Cynthia is also a strong person in her bones. But every time you encounter any danger, she can only stand back and act as Mulin's cheerleader like everyone else. She also wants to help Mulin. Now with Zekrom, from now on, she can help with anything. For the excited little girl, Mulin didn't know what she was thinking. Just hold her tight so she doesn't fall over. Through the DNA splicers, it is possible to fuse Zekrom and Kyurem together. They were subdued by the two of us. They are a perfect match. Cynthia shouted excitedly. Don't forget to take the DNA splicers away. When we encounter a powerful rival in the future, we will fuse the two Pokémon, turn into Dark Kyurem, beat him up. Zwang zwang. Mulin dotingly said to Cynthia, as a trainer of two Pokémon. Shall we merge together? Excited, Cynthia gave Mulin a white look, and said with a smile on her face, yes. Okay? Here Cynthia's reply. Mulin's eyes lit up, and he hurriedly asked, aren't you preparing for the championship ranking match? You don't have special training anymore? Holding the dark stone, Cynthia said confidently, with Zekrom, face the dodo, Thunderbolt can put him in one move. What is the strongest alchemy? In front of me, everything is scum. Cynthia was happy, and Sleepy was also in a good mood. As for the dodo, Dandy, he, knows, doesn't care at all. Finally, Cynthia no longer has to ignore her own needs for special training. Thinking of the props left unused at home, Mulin's heart became hot. Mulin waved his hand. Honey, let's go home. Cynthia held Mulin's arm and agreed with a smile. All the three dragons of Tao in Unova region were acquired by Mulin and Cynthia. In the Unova region, there is no longer any trouble. Mulin returns to Sinnoh region. It's just that this time, 1 man and 2 women traveled, and it became 1 man and 3 women. 206 streaming material is gone. The Pinnacle of a Man. While Mulin brought the 3 daughters back to Sinnoh region, Unova Alliance also issued an announcement. The content of the announcement is mainly to the public. Announce the destruction of the evil organization Team Plasma, and arrest the leader of Team Plasma, Getsis. As for the Alliance building that was attacked, it was announced that it was being renovated. After all, an attack on behalf of the Alliance. It almost collapsed, which is not something to be proud of. At the same time, Unova Alliance was also mentioned in the announcement. Thanks to Mulin, Cynthia, Kyurem and others who participated in the extermination of Team Plasma this time. In particular, he expressed his gratitude to Mulin. Something about Mega Rayquaza and Diablo Kyurem. It has not been announced. It only circulates at the top of Unova Alliance. The downfall of the evil organization Team Plasma has brought joy to the people of the Unova region. Because of the announcement of Unova Alliance, the public has been refreshed. My impression of the name Mulin. It caused a huge discussion on the internet. With the rising popularity of Mulin, a gossip occupied the trending list faster than Team Plasma's destruction. 360's new Unova region champion Sabrina has fallen. Sabrina in Celestic Town. 3 female region champions are all kidnapped. Hopeless. Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, countless men in the region, their dreams are shattered. Under the hot search, a large number of netizens are wailing. It's fine if Miss Cynthia is kidnapped. Even Miss Kyurem of the Kalos region, and the new champion of the Unova region, Miss Sabrina, have also been kidnapped. All female champions were abducted by Mulin Professor. As soon as this remark came out, it immediately received likes from many male netizens and a large number of comments. Damn it, Miss Cynthia was kidnapped before. I'll bear with it. At least Miss Kyurem can imagine. Miss Kyurem was also kidnapped, so I'll bear it. At least there's new Miss Sabrina to fantasize about. Now even Miss Sabrina has been kidnapped. Grandma Lee's. Now there is no material for dreaming. With the 3 champions being kidnapped, I feel like my soaring in the sky has lost its color. There is no hope in life. There is no goal to strive for. I would like to call Mulin, the public enemy of men. This Mulin is simply a template for a man's success. If there is a next life, I would like to travel to become Mulin. Soon, the wailing of male netizens was immediately replaced by female netizens. A good bird chooses a good tree to live in. Do you understand? Mulin is super handsome. Mulin is so powerful. Such a man, would everyone like it? I want to create Mulin's fan club. Mulin who guards us. Jimai who wants to join at. I want to join. +1, +2, +10,086. With a hot discussion on the internet, various forces are also watching Mulin. Kanto region. Team Rocket's secret headquarters base. Giovanni, sitting on a leather sofa, looked meaningfully at the red-haired man in front of him. This red-haired man is the leader of Kalos region Team Flare, Lissandra. Lissandra surveys Giovanni's office. The facilities in the office are very luxurious, but Lissandra was even more impressed. It's the people who surround Giovanni. CGBH. Maxi, Archie from Hoenn region. Cyrus of the Sinnoh region. Getsis, Acroma in the Unova region. The leaders and important elites of the 4 evil organizations all gather behind the city, and they all look like they respect Giovanni. Giovanni was pleased with the shock in Lissandra's eyes. These people, except Acroma, all because of the failure of their respective plans, they were all taken back by Giovanni. Giovanni said lightly, Lissandra, you come to me. What's the matter? Lissandra suppressed the surprise in her eyes, and said slowly, I'm telling you the truth. I have taken control of Util. The plan has been implemented to the most critical moment. I want to ask you for help. Giovanni tapped his fingers on the table in an orderly manner, stared at Lissandra and asked, how do you want me to help? And you, What price did you pay? Lissandra averted Giovanni's gaze. After a moment of silence, he said, when I start to act, that Mulin will definitely stop me. I hope you can stop that Mulin. As for the conditions, as long as I have what I can give you. Giovanni's fingers stopped tapping, but looked at Lissandra lightly. There was a disdainful smile on the corner of his mouth. Lissandra, your plan looks stupid to me. It's doomed to fail. But aren't you going to give up? Lissandra's face is very ugly when Giovanni said it so bluntly. Not enough. Since he came to the Kanto region alone to find Giovanni, Lissandra was ready to be squeezed by Giovanni. He said bluntly, just tell me if you are willing to help. Giovanni chuckled, but stopped laughing at Lissandra. Instead, he said, no problem. I can help you. But the conditions. Lissandra was subconsciously stunned after hearing Giovanni's conditions. Then he looked behind Giovanni, who was standing like Cial number 1, gritting his teeth. He responded, okay, I accept your terms. 207 Ash, teacher, please use your strongest Pokémon to fight me. Sinnoh region, Celestial Town. As soon as I got home, I showed up at the training ground. The Ash trio, who was staying in Celestic Town to prepare for the Lily of the Valley conference, surrounded them, including Kai Hong, who was practicing in the training ground. Also followed. Mulin teacher. Ash ran to Mulin with an excited face. Report the results of his training in the past few days. I have been practicing hard according to the training method you explained. The current Pokémon strength has made great progress. Through systematic investigation, Mulin discovered the rank of Ash's Pokémon. There has been no small improvement, especially the Infernape, which has reached the peak of the gym. Mulin said with a smile. Ash, it seems that your training is very effective. Dawn holding Piplup. Interjecting from the sidelines, Ash has put in a lot of work preparing for the Lily of the Valley conference. In addition to taking care of Pokémon's life every day, I also accompany them in special training. Squinting Xiaogang. He also said on the side, yesterday, Ash's Infernape had 2 tricks with a red Charizard. Although they lost, they were also affirmed by Kai Hong. Red, who has always been reticent. He also nodded slightly in approval. Ash's growth rate is very fast. When fighting, become calm. The control of Pokémon skills is also much more mature than before. After being recognized by several people, Ash scratched his head in embarrassment. I just did what Mulin teacher told me to do. Compared with Mulin teacher, it's far worse. Although Ash spoke modestly, he still couldn't hide a little pride in his expression. At this time, Cynthia brought 2 daughters, Kaluni and Sabrina, walked out from the house. Kaluni had known Ash and the others for a long time, and she nodded slightly as a greeting. Sabrina and Ash, Xiaogang, and Shihong all knew each other before. Dawn also met Sabrina through the internet. A few people said hello to Soleil, and they knew each other. Cynthia looked curiously at Ash and the others who surrounded Mulin. What were you talking about just now? Mulin replied with a faint smile. Ash has grown a lot during our absence. Cynthia looked at Ash's Pokémon and affirmed, it has indeed grown a lot. Looks like this time Lily of the Valley conference, Ash will be a horse. Thank you. Received continuous praise from everyone. Ash said modestly, Lily of the Valley conference is like a cloud of masters. It's not easy to win the championship, and even if you are lucky enough to win the championship, it is still far behind Miss Cynthia and you. The 3 daughters led by Cynthia and Chihong are all region champions. Even if Ash wins the Lily of the Valley conference, it's still a long way from them. What's more, there is Mulin who is stronger than the region champion. Come on Ash, you can do it. Mulin encouraged. Okay. Ash nodded heavily, and then said to Mulin seriously, Mulin teacher, I want to ask you one thing. You say. Returning to Celestic Town, Mulin who had nothing to do said casually. Ash said solemnly and seriously, Mulin teacher, I knows there is a big gap between me and you, but I still want to ask you to use the strongest handheld Pokémon to fight with me. I want to know clearly the gap between you and me. This way, I also have better motivation to continue training. Ash's tone is very sincere and serious. He was indeed very happy with the compliments just now, but at the same time, he also knew the gap between himself and Mulin. Fighting against Mulin, Raleigh wanted to report his training results to Mew Piao. Secondly, I also want to see how far he is from the highest mountain. Ash's words made the 3 daughters headed by Cynthia. They all looked at Ash with weird expressions. Mulin teacher. Ash J. Ash bent down and bowed to Mulin. The strongest holding Pokémon. Mulin murmured silently. It's really hard to refuse the pleading Ash. Yes, please Mulin teacher, use the handheld Pokémon. Let me clearly understand the gap between me and you. Ash bowed again. Faced with Ash's repeated requests, Mulin could only reluctantly agree. Okay. In the battlefield. Hoo-hoo. Ash took 2 deep breaths and adjusted his contest condition. After being trained by Mulin, he has become a lot more mature overall. 0. Although he knew that it was impossible to beat Mulin, but the proper fighting posture must be corrected. After adjusting his energy, Ash bowed to Mulin again before the battle started. The attitude is very correct. Opened the mouth and said, Mulin teacher, please. Then, Ash Fu Fling played a baby ball. Flame tilde. The Pokémon used by Ash is that he has been very effective in training during this time. Infernape who has reached the peak of the gym. Infernape's muscles tensed and his concentration sharp. Like Ash, He took this battle of reporting results very seriously. Looking at Ash, who looked forward to the battle with him, Mewlin felt a little troubled. Wouldn't it be nice to use his words? But Ash emphasized several times just now, let me use the strongest handheld Pokémon. Forget it, since Ash asked so. Then use him. Mewlin didn't think so much, and took out a red and white ball from his waist, fling towards the battlefield. After a burst of red light, the temperature on the entire battlefield became significantly colder. 208 Ash, even if Mewlin is strong, Cynthia has also changed. Mewlin currently holds the strongest Pokémon, which is of course the Ice Dragon Kyurem, who has reached the next level of God. In order to meet Ash's request, he had no choice but to send him out. Kyurem's low growl made the surrounding temperature drop sharply. With a body size as high as 50 meters, it directly appeared on the battlefield. Almost filled the battlefield. With a rough appearance and a brutal temperament, the eyes of the Ice Dragon Kyurem are aimed at Ash's Infernape flame. Being stared at by such a terrifying Kyurem, Infernape's condensed spirit disintegrated in an instant. Mewlin teacher, is this your Pokémon? Ash, who has always been fearless in battle, confronts such a terrifying Ice Dragon Kyurem. 140 couldn't help but tremble. Startled by the cold Kyurem, except for Ash, Xiaogang and Dawn took a few steps back in horror, including Crimson. All muscles tense under Kyurem's pressure. His name is Kyurem, the Pokémon I just tamed, Mewlin said calmly to the edge of the battlefield. Ash took a careful look at Kyurem, as if he was afraid of offending him. Tremblingly said, Chief Kyurem, is this Unova region? Kyurem, who is said to eat people. Although Ash hasn't traveled to the Unova region yet, he has heard the legend of the three dragons. Especially Kyurem has a bad reputation. Many children were disobedient when they were young. Parents will scare children, and disobedient children will be eaten by Kyurem. Mewlin was speechless for a while. It seemed that Kyurem's bad name was a childhood nightmare for children. To appease Ash, Mewlin said, it's okay Ash. He doesn't eat people. Right Kyurem? Kyurem grinned widely and smiled. It doesn't matter if you don't laugh. As soon as you laugh, Ash's Infernape Bengu will be stunned. Quickly retreating, unable to bear the pressure on the blood. Please Ash, take him back to the baby ball. It's over. Seeing Infernape's performance, Ash didn't blame him. After all, in the face of such a terrifying monster, there is no desire to fight at all. Ash suggested, Mewlin teacher, how about, let's forget about our battle. Okay. He guessed that Mewlin was standing in front of each other. The Ice Dragon Kyurem has the potential to terrify Ash. Then he took out the red and white ball and took him back. Without Kyurem, the overwhelming pressure dissipates instantly. Ash's frightened heart can finally let go. Even Dawn and Xiaogang, who were watching the battle from a distance, breathed a sigh of relief silently. Red, there is no need to tense up. It's just that the back is all wet with cold sweat. On the other side of the battlefield, the three women headed by Cynthia, they looked at each other with smiles in their eyes. Especially Cynthia, since Ash asked Mewlin to send the strongest hand, she has already encountered this situation. But it's not Ash's fault either. After all, they didn't experience what happened in the Unova region. Now I finally know the gap between me and you, Mewlin teacher. Ash lowered his head a little dejectedly. Originally, he wanted to report to Sleepy Ting his achievements during this period of cultivation. But he had no choice but to face the extremely powerful Kyurem. I can't afford the idea of fighting at all. I had no choice but to let it go. Dawn, who was holding Pickup, saw Ash's loss and understood his thoughts. He stepped forward and comforted, Ash, although you failed to show your training results, but at the very least, you have shown your courage to Mewlin big brother. When Xiaogang and I saw that scary Pokémon just now, we couldn't help but back away. But you can still face Kyurem without retreating. You have done a good job. Xiaogang from the trio also encouraged. Dawn is right. Ash, you are indeed courageous. I know you really want to report your cultivation results to Mewlin. But you don't have to fight Mewlin to report, right? You can challenge someone else, and you can also report the results of your cultivation, right? With the comfort of Dawn and Xiaogang, Ash's mood recovered a lot. Especially Xiaogang's words woke up Ash. Correct. You don't have to fight Mewlin to show off your training results. Fighting against others, as long as you show yourself, you can still report to Mewlin. Thinking of this, Ash's eyes swept over the people outside Mewai. Soon, Ash's eyes locked on the smiling Cynthia. During this period of time, Kai Hong had fought against him several times, and if she played against Kai Hong, it would not give very good results. As for Kaluni and Sabrina, although Ash knows them well, but the relationship is normal, also pass. Thinking of this, Ash said, Miss Cynthia, can I trouble you to fight with me? I want to show Mewlin teacher my cultivation achievements. When Ash called her name, Cynthia froze for a moment. Soon, the expression on his face became playful. Use my strongest hand. Yeah. Ash nodded heavily. Please. My strongest hand is also a legend. Cynthia raised her eyebrows and said, that would be the best. 3.5 in Ash's cognition. He felt the legend in Cynthia's mouth. Should be the Zapdos of the Galar region. Okay. When Ash re-released Infernape and stood still on the training ground, Cynthia did not take out the treasure ball, but took out a pitch black stone. Then, A burst of thunder appeared on the battlefield. Ash looked at the 30-meter-tall Zekrom, who was flickering spark all over his body. The whole person is completely numb. It doesn't matter if Mulin is strong and against the sky. Now even Cynthia has changed. 209 Conspiracy across 2 regions. Celestial Town. On the battlefield, the newcomer, Sabrina, is training with Kaluni, Alakazam, Fantasy Light, Gardevoir, Psybeam. The frequent confrontation of mental power filled the air with an indescribable fluctuation. Under the battlefield, Cynthia sat lazily aside. Some envy Sabrina and Kaluni who are fighting. He complained to Mulin beside him, "Hey, I really want to join them to fight together. But none of them play with me." Mulin touched the pimples on his forehead that had disappeared. Cynthia gave a blank look. "The reason why they don't play with you is not because of you. Show off Zekrom all day long. These 2 days, as long as you are free." Cynthia took the initiative to find several other people to fight. It's just that, Zekrom's special. 26. No one is Cynthia's rival at all. Over time, Kaluni, Sabrina, and Crimson also refused to fight Cynthia. It's not a fair fight at all with legendary versus regular Pokémon. Hey, Cynthia gave a smirk. She was in a good mood. Then they subdued Zekrom. Are you happy? And besides, even if Zekrom is a legend, then you have to train, don't you? Mulin said angrily. I didn't expect you to say pretend so fresh and refined. Where is it? Cynthia, who was seen through by Mulin, hugged Mew's arm charm again and again, whispered in Mulin's ear. I already have it. No need to pretend. Woodrin, seeing Mulin's speechless look for a while, Cynthia laughed straight away. Point to Sabrina who is fighting in the distance. He said to him, actually, after getting in touch, I found that Sabrina is actually pretty good. Okay? Mulin looked at Cynthia unexpectedly. So I asked, I remember you said before that you don't like Sabrina. Why did it change all of a sudden? Mulin's doubts are not without reason. At that time, the dispute in the Unova region was resolved, and it was time to return to Sinnoh from the Unova region. Cynthia offered to let Sabrina come to Celestic Town to train together. As the name suggests, it is to prepare for the next championship ranking match. Faced with Cynthia's invitation, Sabrina did not refuse. Directly agreed. Cynthia moved her beautiful eyes to Mulin, looked at him seriously and said, Mulin, I know Sabrina's thoughts. And, I don't mind either. But you have to promise me, you can't love the new and dislike the old. You don't know. What? ? It was a little difficult for Mulin to keep up with Cynthia's jumping thinking. Not faintly enough, he still heard what Cynthia meant. Humphrey. Cynthia didn't explain, and broke the wood's head. You promise me quickly. Promise you what? Mulin was injected with Cynthia's gaze, and couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Don't pretend. You know what I'm talking about. Quick, answer. Yes, me. Cynthia didn't let go of Mulin's head. Good. I promise you. Helpless, Mulin had no choice but to coax, and at the same time, there was a little bit of joy in his heart. That's about the same. After getting Mulin's positive reply, Cynthia gave up. Holding Mulin's arm, watching the battle between Sabrina and Kaluni. The battle between Sabrina and Kaluni is in full swing. The level of the two sides is about the same. When it was at its most intense, Kaluni suddenly lost her mind. Trump card Pokémon Gardevoir was found a gap by Sabrina's Alakazam and took the opportunity to launch a thunderous attack. Take advantage of Sabrina's Gardevoir. The battle was interrupted. Kaluni lost her mind because she was in the middle of the battle. Her phone rang. Well, I see. I'm going back now. After finishing the phone call, Kaluni had a strange expression on her face. Cynthia noticed something unusual about her little sister. He stepped forward and asked, what's wrong? What happened? It was a call from Carlos Alliance just now. Tell me to go back. I have to deal with some things. Kaluni frowned. With the championship challenge approaching, she naturally hopes to devote more time. Put it on training. But she is the champion of Carlos region, and the Grand Duchess of Carlos region. There are her responsibilities to deal with. Alright. Then you go back first. Take care of things and come back. Cynthia is also a champion and understands that something has to be done. Okay. Kaluni nodded, took out her mobile phone and arranged for the flight. By the way, Kaluni, what can I do for you? Remember to find me. Cynthia raised her eyebrows and said with a smile, I have subdued 2 legendary trainers. All right. Kaluni smiled and gave Cynthia a white look. I will ask you for help if I need it. Kaluni's return to the Carlos region is a sign. A conspiracy across 2 regions is quietly underway. 210 Groudon of Primal Reversion, Kyogre! Carlos region, Lumiose City. The secret base of Team Flare. In this secret base, there is a huge stone pillar hidden. This stone pillar was buried underground in Shixiang Town. The ultimate weapon that was excavated by Team Flare and brought here. And Little, who was captured by Team Flare, was locked around the final weapon. Report. After calculations, we now have the conditions to open the final weapon. Leader, please give instructions. Team Flare's main executive, Xerosic, reports to Flavorly, who stands high on the base. Start our plan. Lysandra waved his hand and gave orders to the Team Flare members below. Yes. A group of Team Flare members who were ready, under the leadership of Executive Xerosic, turned on each machine. The sound of the machine started to resound, and many strange light waves shone on the bound util. The trapped Yutal made a shrill sound of hooves. With Yutal as the connection, the energy of black radiates from the body, injected into the body of the ultimate weapon. The gigantic final weapon, activated with Yutal's energy injection. Carlos Region's fire element elite Malva, looking at the busy laboratory, with obvious worries on his face. He asked Lissandra beside him, "Will our plan really go well?" Lissandra glanced at Malva, said enthusiastically, "Don't worry, I have reached an agreement with Giovanni. Giovanni will hold him for us." Hearing this, Malva didn't speak, just silently looking at Yutal, who was regarded as an energy converter. For some reason, there was always a lingering worry in her heart. Hoenn Region 127 Sea Road. A small dive boat with extremely fast sailing speed is sailing in the deep sea. The person who controls this small dive boat is Archie of the Water Fleet. Report, there are still 300 meters to reach the place where Kyogre sleeps. Report, there are still 200 meters. Report, there are still 100 meters left. Report, arrive at destination. As his subordinates reported, Archie on the command seat leaned forward through the window of the dive boat. Look at Kyogre, who is sleeping in the trench. Seeing Kyogre again, Archie's expression became extremely frantic. Touching the window, murmured, "Kyogre, god of the sea, your chenwood-colored body is so beautiful. Even if it's not the first time I see you, I still fall for you. Others say I'm crazy about you, but actually, I'm already crazy about you. Kyogre, wake up, and to your stronger primal form. Then, let the sea drown the world." After several minutes of immersion, Archie shouted to his subordinates, "Action!" Yes, the people under him agreed, and quickly operated the submarine. PFFT dive boat, fired one towards Kyogre. Specially processed blue orb. Kyogre, who was sleeping, felt the breath of the blue orb, and suddenly opened his fish eyes. He looked at the orb that was shooting at him and was emitting a coquettish blue light. That blue orb is his familiar aura. Kyogre believes that as long as he integrates this orb into his own body, he can become his strongest self. But Kyogre didn't act immediately because the energy on that blue orb was not pure. On the periphery of the orb, there is a substance that he does not know. In a small submarine. Archie stared at Kyogre closely. He muttered in his mouth, "Kyogre, quickly swallow this treasure. In addition to returning you to primal form, it also makes you stronger. Quickly take it." Under Archie's expectant gaze, Kyogre hesitated again and again, but swallowed the orb. The blue orb submerged into Kyogre's body, and the sea was churning wantonly. Kyogre's eyes turned blood red. On the sea, there was heavy rain. The turbulent sea rolled up huge waves, as if it could swallow everything in the sea. Normal. Hoenn Region. The summit of Mount Chimney. Maxie walks above the mouth of the boiling volcano, looking at the boiling lava with scorching eyes. It continued to burst out. After a while, I was trapped loose from the carry-on case. A scarlet orb was taken out, fling down towards the boiling lava. When the magma overwhelmed the orb, soon, a tyrannical momentum rose to the sky. Rise from the lava. Yang. Getting good. Light was also triggered by this tyrannical momentum. It became extremely dazzling and hot. Groudon, god of the earth, wake up. Transform back into your strongest, most furious primal reversion form. Go and fight your old enemy. As much as you want, mess up the world. Maxie stared at the tumbling lava, frenzied at the big growl. Groudon's head protruded from the churning lava. Groudon's eyes, however, were normally red. A big change today is brewing. 211 Land of the End versus Sea of Origin. Hoenn Region. Slateport City. Torrential rain, covering the entire city. The thumb-sized raindrops hit people's bodies as painfully as being hit by pebbles. Some simple buildings were destroyed by the torrential rain. At the same time, the huge whirlwind uprooted some weak trees. Roll over soaring in the sky of a dark cloud. It is no exaggeration to say that a person weighing about 100 kgs stand outdoors without shelter. Even if you are not stunned by the rain, you will be blown into the sky by the ruthless hurricane. This is not the most important thing. The boundless torrential rain is rapidly congesting the urban area of Slateport City. The entire Slateport City has turned into a swamp country. The instigator of this epic rainstorm was the constant turbulence in the sea ahead. Rampage. Primal Kyogre, constantly tumbling in the sea. Every time 233 rolled over, it caused a huge wave, constantly slapping Slateport City's fragile marine defenses. Wallace, Stephen, and the Hoenn Elite Four all gathered in a tall building in Slateport City. He looked at Primal Kyogre in the distance in horror. Okay. What terrifying power. Is this what Kyogre really looks like? Sea monster, Wallace said in fear. At this moment, Primal Kyogre let out a violent wail cry. In the sound of wails, it seems to have a kind of magical power. Nearly the entire population in Slateport City went into cardiac arrest. Even Wallace's trump card PokéMon Milotic was shattered by the wail cry. That is from the suppression of the blood. At this time, Kyogre is not completely out of style. A fathead fish caught by a water lily. It turned into a sea monster that overturned the land. Kagab. Wallace, when will Mulin arrive? Stephen asked with a serious face. The Hoenn Elite Four all had their eyes on Wallace. because they know and want to make it all go away. Can only rely on Mulin, who can summon Rayquaza. It should be soon. As soon as I received the news that Kyogre had awakened, I immediately asked Mulin to come and help. Wallace quickly answered his good friend. Yeah. Stephen nodded. Such a monster, Kyogre, cannot be faced by humans at all. While Wallace and Stephen were praying, there was a furious growl from Growl. Roar. This roar blew out the clouds soaring in the sky. It also dissipated the extremely destructive hurricane. Wallace and the others hurriedly looked towards the place where the roaring sound came from. On the distant land, I saw an ancient giant beast in lava armor, slowly heading in the direction of Slateport City. Primal Groudon, Wallace exclaimed. Groudon, which returns to Primal, has little difference in appearance from Groudon in normal form, but the sense of oppression is several times heavier. Every time Primal Groudon takes a step, it is like a sledgehammer hammering the ground. And wherever Primal Groudon went, a long line of magma was drawn behind him. Kyogre, who had been waiting for a long time, finally met his old enemy Groudon. Without giving in, a huge wail cry was made. Indicates that he has been waiting for his nemesis Groudon for a long time. After all, Groudon can't fly, he can only measure the earth he loves with his feet. Came all the way from Mount Chimney. Kyogre can fly and arrives in Slateport City early, waiting for Groudon to appear. Roar. Primal Groudon, already berserk, heard Kyogre's taunt. There was also a roar. Immediately, he began to accelerate and run towards the coast. Primal Groudon's rampage caused countless buildings to collapse. Wherever he went, everything turned into a sea of flames. The ability of the Land of the End unfolded, and all water elements were ruthlessly expelled. Even Wallace's main force, Milotic, also unable to use the most basic water gun of the water system. Soon after Groudon's raid, crossed Slateport City and stood on the beach. Groudon connects the feet of the earth and breaks the continental shelf of the silent sea underwater. The boiling magma instantly replaced the cool sea water. Behind Groudon, there is endless boiling magma. Behind Kyogre, there are endless turbulent storms. The weather, along with the two ancient behemoths, became one yin and one yang. Although the two ancient behemoths have not yet started fighting. However, it is foreseeable that the medical wave produced by the two giant beast magnetic children, also enough to destroy the entire Slateport City. Just when the two behemoths were about to start a war, a silver-white figure came from the distant horizon. That is Lugia, the god of the sea with wings reaching 20 meters in length. Seeing the appearance of this Pokémon, Wallace, Stephen, Elite Four and others looked excited because they saw a man and two women on Lugia's body. The man is their savior. Mulin. Everyone with a haze in their hearts followed Mulin's arrival. Made easy. 212 Rayquaza, something went wrong? Silver, safeguard. Little Lugia screamed and organized a mysterious guard circle. Isolated from the blazing high temperature. Murin. You finally came. The Hoenn elite headed by Wallace immediately stepped forward. At the same time, he nodded with Cynthia and Sabrina. Okay. Mulin nodded, then focused his gaze on the two ancient giant beasts. Investigating eyes are automatically turned on. Pokémon, Groudon, Primal Reversion Form? Attribute, Ground, Fire? Ability, Land of the End. The weather becomes bright sunshine, and the weakness of the fire element to the water element disappears. Level, 96, Peak Level 1 God? Skills, Mud Shot, Ancient Power, Earthquake, Arm Hammer, Fissure, Solar Beam, Fire Blast, Eruption. Exclusive Skill, Precipice Blades? Contest Condition, Berserk. Because of some factors, entered the Berserk contest condition. Remarks: Groudon has the power to make rain clouds disappear, evaporate water with strong light and high temperature, and is known as the legendary Pokémon of the incarnation of the Earth. Pokémon, Kyogre, Primal Reversion Form? Attribute, Water? Ability, Sea of Origin. The weather turns into heavy rain, and will not be damaged by fire type. Level, 96, Peak Level 1 God? Skills, Water Pulse, Aqua Tail, Body Slam, Freezing Ray, Hydro Pump, Calm Mind, Sheer Cold. Exclusive Skill, Organ Pulse? Contest Condition, Berserk. Because of some factors, entered the Berserk contest condition. Remarks: Kyogre has the power to generate a huge rain cloud that can cover the entire soaring in the sky, and cause torrential rain. Giovanni, what the hell are you trying to do? After checking the situation of these two Pokémon, Mulin probably guessed that it was the rockets who did the trick, which caused the two ancient mythical beasts to go berserk. After all, Pokémon can go berserk. Only genetic means can achieve the ability to create god rockets. It's just that Giovanni frequently intervenes in the affairs of various regions. Exactly what he intends to do is unknown for the time being. While Mulin was thinking, Groudon and Kyogre, the two rivals, already bide couldn't hold back and started fighting. Kyogre, who had been waiting for a long time, let the boundless sea surge. Hundreds of water columns with a thickness of more than 10 meters were formed, and they spiraled continuously. As a result, a towering water column of terrifying scale was formed, headed towards Groudon. Groudon didn't settle for his old rival, either. With a roar, he accumulated energy in his mouth. A light wave composed of pale green energy was emitted. In response to Kyogre, Mulin recognized the two Pokémon at a glance, and the skills they used. They are the Hydro Pump of the water system and the Energy Beam of the grass system. It's just that these two skills were used by two reverted beasts. The power can be called the level of extinction. Boom. The towering water column collided with pure energy, created a giant mist on the battlefield. But obviously, these two Pokémon are not satisfied with the battle in front of them. Roaring Primal Groudon, Omega Runes flashing. The right foot slams into the ground, constantly mobilizing the energy of the ground. The continental shelf is howling. Even though there is a distance of 10 kilometers between Slateport City and the two ultra-ancient mythical beasts, it was still shaking for a while, as if it was in a level 6 earthquake. Soon, a stone pillar seemed to be able to pierce the sky. Ask for flowers. Rise from the lava. Groudon's exclusive skill, smell it. Primal Kyogre was not idle either, and the shark fin flapped frequently. Alpha runes shine brightly. 6 dazzling light waves that condensed blue light emitted 6 energy beams respectively. Then come together. Responded to precipice blades with the exclusive skill, Organ Pulse. Boom, boom. The two terrifying attacks merged together, and immediately erupted a detonation that trembled in the space. The airwave caused by the explosion oscillated to the surroundings. All the doors and windows in the entire Slateport City were shattered by the aftermath of this blow. It can be predicted that with the continuous battle of the two ultra-ancient beasts, Slateport City will be affected more and more. Murin, bring Rayquaza, please. Quiet these two ultra-ancient Pokémon. Wallace looked at him expectantly. The rest of Steven and Elite Four also begged Mulin to take action with pleading eyes. I see. Mulin took out the colorful stone, and the 3 divine powers gathered in it. The colorful stones burst into brilliant light. Connect with Rayquaza through the bond of heart. As time went by, several minutes had passed. Groudon and Kyogre are still fighting, but Mulin failed to get Rayquaza's response. Kanto region. The 100-meter dragon, Rayquaza, who holds the power of soaring in the sky, is glaring at a Pokémon that looks like an alien. 213 The aftermath of the Battle of the Twin Gods is enough to destroy the city. The Pokémon confronting Rayquaza is the alien visitor Deoxys. The reason why Rayquaza, who holds the authority of soaring in the sky, usually lives above the ozone layer. That's because his duty is to eliminate all threats from outer space. And through meteorite, the Deoxys smuggled to this planet from outer space has been included in the list that must be eliminated by Rayquaza. Originally Rayquaza thought that when he fell in meteorite last time, Deoxys has been completely wiped out by him. Unexpectedly, the breath of Deoxys appeared in Kanto region. So Rayquaza, following the breath of Deoxys all the way from Hoenn came here. In fact, Rayquaza has already received Mulin's call. Compared with 760 and Deoxys, sleepiness is more important because the 3 divine powers contained in Mulin's body are equivalent to the key to activate Rayquaza. Just when he was about to abandon Deoxys and rush back to support Mulin, the Deoxys seemed to sense Rayquaza's intentions. The oval head suddenly protruded with 3 sharp horns, and the purple core on the chest shone brightly. Deoxys, who can transform their forms, become attack teams who give up their defenses. Immediately afterwards, Deoxys directly used his exclusive skills. Psycho Boost. The tentacles fluttered, and a deep purple energy ball was accumulated in the chest. Charged towards Rayquaza. Boom. Rayquaza, who was preparing to respond to Mulin's fetters, was caught off guard. Get hit by Deoxys' Psycho Boost. The impact caused Rayquaza to retreat tens of meters. Although with Rayquaza's powerful ability, this level of attack can't hurt him at all. But it pissed off Rayquaza. Rotilda. The dragon's anger that shook the sky and the earth was sent out. This damn cosmic creature. It's not bad if you don't kill him yourself. How dare you take the initiative to taunt? Since you are courting death yourself, then you will be annihilated. Furious Rayquaza, the Delta rune shines brightly. The energy of the dragon system surged. Quickly resorted to a move Dragon Pulse. Just before Rayquaza's attack struck, Deoxys transformed again, from an attacking form to a defensive form. At the same time, the purple energy is reflected on the body, resisting the Dragon Pulse from Rayquaza's fury. Boom. Even Deoxys in defensive form. It is also very difficult to resist Rayquaza's blow. Without waiting for Rayquaza to make another move, Deoxys continued to change form and switched to speed form. Take advantage of the speed and get enough distance from Rayquaza, facing Deoxys who has changed back and forth in the 3 forms of offense, defense, and speed. Even as strong as Rayquaza, want to beat him in a short time. Just when Rayquaza thought the blow just now was enough for Deoxys to understand the gap between them. Deoxys in speed mode, using high speed to continue to move forward to taunt. Go around to Rayquaza's back and perform a shadow ball. Rotilda. Rayquaza's anger was finally completely ignited. He also understood one thing. Do not destroy the opponent. He will not give up harassing himself. Nasty monster, die. The endless turbulence above the soaring in the sky surges, and the meteorite formed by the accumulated energy keeps falling from the soaring in the sky. Hoenn region. Mulin looked at the colorful stone in his hand suspiciously. While he didn't use the baby ball, included Rayquaza in it. But there were several battles with Rayquaza, even experienced a life and death. Mulin has long established an inseparable bond with Rayquaza. What exactly is it? Touched Rayquaza? Wallace and others saw the puzzled expression on Mulin's face. Quickly asked, Mulin, how is the situation? Seeing the worried faces on everyone's faces, Mulin immediately retracted his puzzled expression. Said calmly, Rayquaza has received my call. It's just that it will take some time to come. Mulin believes that as long as Rayquaza solves the things that hinder him, will come right away. When everyone heard Mulin say this, they felt a lot easier. Even now Groudon and Kyogre. So what about a regression contest condition? Rayquaza, but their big brother, and Mega Rayquaza. But it is a brilliant record of smashing a huge meteorite that destroyed the continent. Clean up these two noisy little brothers. Isn't it a piece of cake? Just when everyone relaxed a little bit, two old two ancient Pokémon are fighting, and the battle is getting more intense. Primal Kyogre flies high in the air, taking advantage of being able to flying. Pulled a trick body slam plus aqua tail. Pound hard on Primal Groudon. The huge prestige caused the opponent to fall hundreds of meters. Primal Groudon with rough skin and thick flesh will certainly not suffer. The sharp claws that can easily destroy a mountain range suddenly protruded on Kyogre's swollen belly. It also made Kyogre retreat hundreds of meters. Boom, boom. Groudon fell in the lava. Kyogre fell 1.8 in the deep ocean. At the same time, seawater and magma were stirred up. The splashed magma directly smashed through Slateport City's defenses. Let countless houses be swallowed up. Then, the seawater extinguished the magma and pushed the solidified magma to the center of Slateport City. Cause countless houses to collapse. At this level, it won't take long. Slateport City was destroyed before the two gods could decide the winner. 240 Ice and Fire, Holiness and Tyranny bless Kyurem in white. The riot of the primal twin gods happened suddenly. As a result, a large number of citizens of Slateport City are stranded here. There was no time to evacuate. Witnessing a large number of citizens fleeing in a hurry under the leadership of Officer Jenny and other investigators, it's unclear when Rayquaza will arrive. Mulin is aware of the situation at this time and does not wait to strike. Otherwise, Slateport City would be a ruin mix between fire and water. Mulin. Cynthia's beautiful eyes moved to Mulin, and at the same time took out the dark stone from her hand. Okay. Seeing Cynthia's expression, I knew Cynthia's character will not sit idly by. Also quickly took out the red and white ball loaded with Kyurem, and the light stone. He turned to look at the Hoenn alliance led by Wallace. Wallace, Stephen, Sabrina, you lead the Elite Four to resist the erosion of magma and seawater by the citizens of Slateport City. Time to evacuate. 26. Wallace agreed, and then immediately asked, what about you, Mulin? What are you going to do? Mulin replied without looking back, Cynthia and I go to the periphery to resist the impact of the primal battle. After speaking, Mulin and Cynthia looked at each other. Cynthia nodded slightly, and began to summon Zekrom. Hearing what Mulin said, Wallace quickly stopped him. But isn't this too risky? As soon as the events in the Unova region came to an end, a riot broke out in the Hoenn region by the primal twin gods. Wallace et al. Did not know that Mew and Cynthia subdued Kyurem and Zekrom respectively. In his opinion, Mulin's handheld Pokémon is very strong. There is even Lugia, the mythical beast. But Lugia who hasn't grown up can't compare with Primal. Just when Stephen also wanted to join the persuasion, in front of them, there appeared a large Pokémon and two small Pokémon that radiated lightning, flame, freezing and energy respectively. Rotilda. Kyurem, the ice dragon, was the first to let out a dragon cry. Then, there were two dragon cries, either melodious or thunderbolt. Rotilda. Roar. The three dragons of the Tao, gather together. Is this the three dragons of the way? Wallace looked at the three Pokémon with different characteristics in front of him in disbelief. No. That's right. The three dragons of the way of the Unova region. Stephen, who has traveled in the Unova region, made sure the Hoenn Elite Four, too, looked incredible. Wallace understood why Mulin was so confident. Shocked, Wallace quickly reacted, Stephen, let's go. Okay. Stephen took Hoenn Elite Four to assist evacuation of citizens in the urban area. Mulin, Cynthia, you two stay safe. Sabrina, who has always been neither happy with things nor sad with herself, exhorted the two of them. Okay. For Sabrina's instructions, Mulin just replied lightly. And Cynthia took Sabrina's little hand and comforted her. Don't worry, sister, we'll be fine. Okay. Sabrina also squeezed Cynthia's hand hard, and followed Wallace and others to help. Mulin ignored the intimacy of the two women. Here he is, holding up the DNA splicers. Shouted loudly, blazing fire, immortal ice. Heed my call. Fusion. Rotilda. The Holy White Dragon and the Tyrannical Ice Dragon both roared. Driven by DNA splicers, the two are surrounded by white light. Soon, Flame White Kyurem, descend. Two incompatible energies, ice and fire, are harmoniously combined. Rotilda. Flame White Kyurem's raw growl, both Reshiram's melodious and Kyurem's tyranny. In rainy and hot weather, it looks so harmonious. Everyone in Wallace who had just left looked back at this weird scene, gazing at the graceful yet furious flame-white Kyurem, including Cynthia, also looked shocked. It is also the first time for her to see such a weird and harmonious Yanbai Kyurem. Even Groudon and Kyogre, who were fighting, looked at the flame-white Kyurem who exuded an aura not weaker than theirs. But soon, Groudon and Kyogre turned their attention back to their respective rivals. Even the appearance of Yanbai Kyurem can only slightly attract their attention. They care more about each other. Primal Groudon, the power zone that communicates with heaven and earth. Create a soaring stone pillar that pierces the sky. Primal Kyogre, transformed into the whole sea. The water system energy that is so rich that it can't be melted is sprayed out. The primal twin gods, re-entangled. As the primal duo continued to fight, Mulin pulled out all the precious balls at once, unleashes all of his Pokémon in turn. Red light flashes. 483 Lucario, Darkrai, Small Lugia, and Giant Dragonite all appear. Lucario's hair grew wildly, the spikes on his hands and feet protruded from his body, and he entered the Mega Evolution form directly. His eyes were full of fearlessness. Darkrai, who has always been calm, made haze condense on his body, and subconsciously used strangeness to speed up the adjustment of his energy. Although he hasn't grown up yet, little Lugia is also a member of the beast, and his chubby eyes are full of arrogance and fighting spirit. Fearless and the prestige of the primal twin gods. The huge Dragonite dutifully stood in front of the team, usually greedy and naive, with his wings constantly flapping. He showed his sharpness at this moment. Mulin's holding Pokémon was not afraid of the powerful aura of Primal's twin gods. On the contrary, everyone is full of fighting spirit. This is their arrogance. That's why Mulin is careful to tame Pokémon. Perhaps their strength is very weak in front of the primal double gods, but they will not retreat because rival is strong. 215 Mulin's eyes are red, completely crazy! Silver, Darkrai, big man, try to pay attention, and eliminate the battle fluctuations of the primal twin gods. Mulin instructed the Pokémon in his hand. Lucario is the first Pokémon to follow Mulin, and also serves as the big brother in the team. He agreed and took Darkrai with him. Mulin, leave the southwest to me, Cynthia said to Mulin. I'm responsible for guarding the southeast. At the end, Mulin added, be careful. I see. Cynthia nodded, and rode Zekrom to the designated place to throw beans. And Mulin, riding Yanbai Kyurem, guarded the other side of the coastline. Mulin was not directly involved in the battle of the primal twin gods. He was just guarding the coastline. Don't let the battle of the primal twin gods affect Slateport City. Wait for Rayquaza with bloodline suppression to arrive. Although the strength of the three dragons of the tower is not weak, but because they have just experienced a big battle, Zekrom and Kyurem have not yet fully recovered their strongest form. Now it is obviously not suitable for the battle of the primal gods. The battle between the two berserk primal twin gods has entered a fever pitch. Because of the influence of the violent factor, both sides did not use any strategy, but bombarded each other with their strongest exclusive skills. And as old enemies, they even disdain to avoid the opponent's attack. Use your body to resist directly. Primal Kyogre was hit in the abdomen by a stone pillar that pierced the sky. Let it fall from the sky to the bottom of the water. Primal Groudon, who was firmly on the ground, was bombarded by the laser-like organ pulse. He was overturned directly, thus falling into the magma. Kyogre, who is the incarnation of the sea, falls, and the sea that keeps beating takes off. The inadvertently swelled seawater formed waves hundreds of meters high, like a seawall, imprint towards Slateport City. Groudon, who stood firmly on the ground, rose from the magma, and violently he caused the magma to surge. Unconsciously waving his hands and feet, fiddled with the tumbling magma. Thick magma, like a wave, blast the other side of Slateport City. Zekrom, use Thunderbolt to crush the incoming waves. Cynthia commanded loudly. Zekrom, the legend, weaves lightning bolts like thunder, bombarded on the surging sea wall. The sea wall, which seemed to be so prestige, was blasted back by the thunder and lightning. Although Zekrom's combat power has not yet recovered. But if you want to resist Primal Kyogre's battle spread, you can still do it. Blaze Kyurem, attack lava with freezing light. Mulin also shouted loudly. Yanbai Kyurem used extreme freezing and blasted on the magma. Instantly let the boiling magma cool down. No longer move forward. At the same time, Mulin's Pokémon, led by Lucario, were also running around the defense line. Defeats small waves and lava. Under the joint protection, the Slateport City was successfully protected from threats. If this trend continues, Rayquaza will be able to keep Slateport City safe until Rayquaza arrives. With the two primal gods at the center of the battle continues. Affected by the berserk factor, they completely ignored the physical pain. They continued to bombard each other with their powerful attacks. Primal Groudon, who was the first to stand up from the lava, let out a savage roar. He was overturned by Kyogre just now, causing his feet to be unable to stand on the ground. The feet cannot measure the earth. This is for the god of the earth. Is a disgrace. Right foot again bulldoze ground. The whole continental shelf is whining. Absorb enough energy from the earth. The stone pillar that pierced the sky exploded again. Speed. A few points faster than Kyogre. After all, Groudon just needs to get up. And Kyogre, who fell from the sky, went through the sky drop before falling into the water. In terms of speed, it was a beat slower. When Organ Pulse condensed only 3 light spheres, it was hit by precipice blades first. This also caused the energy of the 3 light spheres to scatter. Without Kyogre's pull, the energy of the 3 light spheres falls randomly. A laser, looking at the trajectory, should fall into the sea. Another light ball laser lost its aim, but it just shot towards the downtown of Slateport City. There, Officer Jenny is leading a group of citizens to evacuate. Even this laser, not the full version of the Organ Pulse, but it's not something they can bear with mortal bodies. Under such an emergency, Mulin had no time to think. Immediately shouted, "Flame White Kyurem, rush over. Use Dragon Pulse to scatter that laser." Raw tilde. Flaming White Kyurem immediately followed the direction where the laser fell. At the same time, the energy accumulated, blasting out a dragon wave. Be the first to scatter the falling lasers. There was a burst of water curtain. There was a sensational sound in the surrounding circles of oscillating white water curtains. It should be another falling laser. Wang Wahao. Eyes can't penetrate the white mist, but Mulin's heart. It throbbed for no reason. Quickly let Yan by Kyurem fly away from the white mist. Be the first to see Cynthia riding Zekrom, safe on the other side. Mulin looked quickly, and soon saw the other side of the sea. There is a deep pit there. Darkrai, Little Lugia, and Giant Dragonite guard the pit. Only Lucario was missing. Mulin struggled to find Lucario. Found Lucario, lying in a deep pit. Seeing this scene, Mulin felt as if someone punched him hard in the heart. 216 Ooh, it's my Earl Dervish Pokémon! Exclamation mark. Another laser beam came extremely fast, boomed where Lucario was. Lucario, who had no time to dodge, could only resist with all his might. The powerful impact completely pushed Lucario into the deep pit. Mulin hugged Lucario, who was lying in the deep pit, his voice trembling uncontrollably. "Xiao, what's wrong with you?" At the same time, Sanchini didn't seem to want money. It kept flowing into Lucario's body. "Luca." The weak Lucario opened his eyes and looked at Mulin. "Tell him it's okay." Although Primal Kyogre's Organ Pulse, not the full version. However, with the huge gap in levels, Lucario was still physically exhausted. "Sorry Xiu, it's all my fault that I didn't notice it in time." Mulin looked at Lucario's body cast by Audiobook, full of wounds. "My heart is like a drop of blood normal." Lucario, who was nourished by the 3 divine powers of Mulin, recovered a little. But overall, it's still weak. Through the investigation of the 3 gods, it is known that Lucario has lost all 6.7 million at this time. But fortunately, there is no major problem overall. "Xiao, come back and rest first." Mulin smiled and patted the ashes on Lucario's body, and said to him softly, "Luca." Lucario nodded silently. After the red light, Mulin took Lucario back into the baby ball. Mulin exhaled heavily, and it seemed that a puff of air had accumulated in his chest, which he could not expel. Cynthia rode Zekrom back to sleepy side, looking at him with red eyes. He was full of worry. "I'm fine." In order not to worry Cynthia, Mulin twitched the corners of his mouth to smile. Immediately afterwards, he shook his neck. "Look up to Primal Kyogre in the sky, eyes full of flames burning." Among the crowd of Mulin's hands, if it is really necessary to distinguish between high and low, that is undoubtedly the most common Lucario, the most important. Because Lucario is his Earl Dervish Pokémon, is his first companion hatched from a baby egg. At that time, Lucario hadn't evolved yet, just a skinny little Riolu. Mulin still clearly remembers the moment when he hatched Riolu. His heart was trembling and nervous like that. Lucario, the Pokémon he grew up with. The bond between Lucario and him is stronger than any Pokémon. For this, Cynthia is equally clear. Mulin has a bond with Lucario, just like she has with her Garchomp. She is familiar with Mulin's personality, and she also knows that Mulin is not as calm as he is now. "Mulin, are you okay?" "Fine. It's just that there is a breath in my heart, and I feel uncomfortable if I can't get it out," Mulin said calmly. But in fact, when he said what he just said, his teeth were clenched and his fists were tense. "I see." Looking at Mulin's expression, Cynthia knew what he was thinking. Mulin has a gentle personality, but sometimes he is stubborn. Once a decision is made, it cannot be changed. With a serious face, he said, "I'm with you." "It is good." Mulin just calmly agreed. Cynthia rode on Zekrom and waited, Kchef, for Mulin. "I want to spit out that stuffy breath." "What about you?" The 3 divine powers in Mulin's body spun wildly, and he looked away. "Look at your Pokémon." Hissed Darkrai Chenwood's eyes turned blood red, and the surrounding haze was as intense as an inseparable black curtain. "He is a bit out of place in the team, but he actually attaches great importance to his partners in his heart. Lucario is the Pokémon who spends the most time with him besides Mulin." Little Lugia sent out ear-piercing pointed hooves, and her silver-white body seemed to be covered with circles of white brilliance. Of the few Pokémon in the team, little Lugia and Lucario are the closest. In his heart, Lucario is a competent big brother. Never let big brother get hurt in vain. This revenge must be reported, or tilde. The huge Dragonite's fleshy wings flapped frequently, and the nostrils spit up into white spots. He has lived for 1,500 years and has few friends. Lucario is one of the few partners he recognizes. As for Yanbai Kyurem, he felt the anger in his heart. Roaring vigorously, Mulin rode on Yanbai Kyurem's body, and stared at Primal Kyogre above the sky. At this time, he no longer suppressed his anger. With a hoarse throat, he spit out a word, hang. Yanbai Kyurem immediately soared into the sky. Hiss tilde, Lui tilde, or tilde, followed by Darkrai, Little Lugia, and huge Dragonite who got the order, fearlessly launched a charge towards Primal Kyogre. Even if the opponent is a high-ranking first-level god, so what? Then we have to fight. Zekrom, let's go too. Cynthia made the seated Zekrom join the charge. Feel 5 forces of different momentum joining the battlefield. Groudon and Kyogre stopped fighting at the same time. 217 violent beating. Fathead fish. Counter region. Through the fetters in his heart, Rayquaza felt the rage in Mulin's heart. At the same time, it also made Rayquaza more violent and anxious. If you want to quickly solve the Deoxys in front of you, go back and help Mulin. The energy of the dragon energy is boiling high, and the soaring in the sky is full of endless violent turbulence. The boundless prestige contained in soaring in the sky is all focused on Deoxys. Although Mulin is absent, Rayquaza cannot mega evolution. But even Rayquaza under the normal contest condition still has a strong suppressing power. With a roar, Rayquaza turned into a black golden light. The breath of lock-on Deoxys, with afterimages, sent out a powerful bombardment. The breath was lock-on. Deoxys knew that there was no possibility of dodging. In the face of Rayquaza's strong bombardment, they can only passively enter the defensive state. The thunderous impact directly sent Deoxys back hundreds of meters. It's not over yet. Rayquaza's mouth can boil instantly. The degree of condensation of energy seems to gather the power of the stars in it. Normal. Next moment, suddenly spit up. Hyper beam. The berserk impact. The incomparably domineering energy, and the close-up are all written on Deoxys. Simply irresistible. It is also impossible to resist. Defending against Deoxys under contest condition. The limbs and torso were torn apart by the violent energy. Only the chest purple core remains. Seeing the annoying Deoxys can no longer stop him, Rayquaza did not hesitate and turned into a black gold shooting star. Head towards the Hoenn region where Mulin is. When the endless turbulence of soaring in the sky became silent with Rayquaza gone from the dilapidated battlefield, a man with a cropped head stepped out. This person is Giovanni of the Rockets. Giovanni picked up the purple core that Deoxys had dropped on the ground. His eyes drifted away with the distance. Muttered in his mouth, even if you have mastered the 3 forms of Deoxys, you can only barely stop Rayquaza with all your strength. Hoenn region. Mulin riding on the body of Yanbai Kyurem. The 3 divine powers radiated crazily. The explosive Mulin made Yanbai Kyurem, who was sitting down, directly activate the overclocking mode. White and blue skin with a tinge of crimson, freeze-dried. With Mulin's angry shout, Yanbai Kyurem was like the tail of an airplane, crazily accumulating energy. Instead, it shot out a icy light that could freeze everything. Freeze-drying is a special skill of the ice system. Through the traction of energy, the water system molecules in all living bodies can be condensed inside. In addition to being able to have excellent effects on ground, flying, grass, and insects. Even for water-type Pokémon, it has outstanding damage effects. As the saying goes, ice and water don't separate families. Primal Kyogre knows what the attack in front of him means to him. Groudon's attack. He can resist hard because Groudon is not only his old enemy, but even the precipice blades will not be effective against him. But the freeze-drying in front of me is another matter. In addition, Yanbai Kyurem was affected by Mulin Rage's mood, and the 3 divine powers gathered in it, creating a more powerful power than usual. Primal Kyogre. Several balls of chenwood-colored light floated around me. Want to use Organ Pulse to defeat the attack of Yanbai Kyurem. But at this moment, there was a shout. Zekrom, overclocking mode. Fusion bold. Ask for flowers. Zekrom's roar of thunder, growl, made the soaring in the sky, which was originally sealed with dark clouds, shine out with all kinds of thunder. The violent and surging thunder shot down in the air. The roaring thunder struck Kyogre's fish head in a blink of an eye. Zekrom, who has gone through the war, has not yet returned to his full glory. Contest condition. With the advantage of attribute, it can cause a lot of damage to Primal Kyogre. Also interrupts the organ pulse's condensation. Immediately following, is flame white Kyurem's icy ray that freezes everything. 0. Kyogre, who was hit continuously, was heavily possessed. In addition, the freeze-drying caused the water molecules in his body to condense, and a pair of shark fins were affected by lightning and ice. Unable to continue fanning, under the pull of gravity, Kyogre fell from the sky. At this time, Mulin's commanding voice filled with anger. Darkrai, Dark Pulse, Silver, Gas. Big Man. Thunder Punch. Hiss tilde. Darkrai, who followed Mulin's attack, made the real haze gather into a black wave. Boom towards the falling Kyogre. Luli tilde. The energy accumulated in little Lugia's mouth roared, shooting out an energy attack that turned all matter into dust. Or tilde. The huge Dragonite's fists flashed with thunder, and they struck down on Kyogre, who was falling hard. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 consecutive berserk attacks all hit Kyogre's body. At the same time as the explosion exploded, it also caused Kyogre to fall towards the sea surface at an accelerated rate. 218 Dissatisfied Groudon, all staff advanced! Thump. The fathead fish was attacked continuously and fell into the sea. There was a burst of mist spray, leading the Elite Four in the distance, Wallace and Steven, who were evacuating the citizens of Slateport City. Looking incredulously at the distance, Kyogre with the head of a fish sticking out in the sea. They were all shocked by the strong shots of Mulin and Cynthia. The strength of the 3 dragons of the Tao is too terrifying. Even Kyogre, who returned to Primal, was thrown into the water together. Wallace, who specializes in water, clearly knows how strong Kyogre is, the strongest beast in water. But even so, they were bombarded by Mulin and Cynthia's thunderous 650 method. Steven's friend, Wallace, has a different focus. He focused more on the rest of Mulin's Pokémon. Even if Steven didn't have the power to investigate systematically, he could clearly perceive the level gap between Primal Kyogre and the rest of the Pokémon held by Mulin. Swallowing his saliva, he said solemnly, except for the 3 dragons of Tao, Mulin's other Pokémon are also very powerful. He has the courage to face Kyogre, the god of the sea, and dares to fight against the myth. Mulin ... What a monster, Wallace said with sincere emotion. Yes, Steven nodded in agreement with Wallace's words. In the rescue team, Sabrina clearly knows how powerful Mulin is. Her focus is on Cynthia. Cynthia riding on the thunderous Zekrom, just smacked down Kyogre's attack. Roleplay is an extremely important part. Zekrom, legend. This kind of power can really help Mulin. There were ripples in Sabrina's heart. Compared with Cynthia, she is the newly promoted Unova region champion. However, they can only cooperate with Wallace, Steven and others to assist evacuation of citizens of Slateport City. And Cynthia can help on the other side of Mulin. Assist him. I see. I want to master that power too. Sabrina secretly vowed in her heart that she would also subdue a stronger power for her own use. She is also covet, and can be the same as Cynthia. Can help Mulin at critical moments. As Kyogre was beaten continuously, it sank to the bottom of the sea. The depressed air accumulated in Mulin's chest subsided slightly. He didn't want to mess with Kyogre much. Unfortunately, Kyogre seriously injured his most cherished Earl Dervish Pokémon Lucario. Kyogre is lurking in the sea, absorbing the energy of the sea. He is absorbing and repairing the power of thunder and ice that is rampant in his body and double restricts him. For a short time, he was quiet. It stands to reason that Groudon saw his nemesis injured. Ben was happy. But the problem is, it's not me who beat Kyogre hard. This makes Groudon very dissatisfied. Roar tilde. Primal Groudon let out a growl. The roaring sound formed a circle of waves and dispersed in all directions. Groudon's roar, aimed at Mulin and his Pokémon, dissatisfied with them, intervened in the battle between him and Kyogre. Groudon. Mulin, riding on the body of Yan by Kyurem, looked away from Kyogre. Silently looked at Groudon, who was roaring dissatisfied on the magma. The fire in Mulin's eyes began to fade as Kyogre was beaten hard. But following Primal Groudon's targeted roar, the flames in Mulin's eyes danced again. Groudon, if it wasn't for your fight with Kyogre ... it won't hurt Xiu. You are also the accomplice who hurt Xiu. You, too, will receive punishment. Roar tilde. Sensing Mulin's hostility, Primal Groudon roared wildly. Roar growl set off wave after wave of air. The blowing made Mulin's clothes rattle. At the same time, the prestige of being the god of the earth is completely shrouded in Mulin's body. Just then, a horse hoof tore away Groudon's prestige. Hiss tilde. Darkrai incarnates into the dark sky, blocking the intense haze around him from the fiery sunlight. At the same time, Darkrai's aura increased rapidly. Immediately afterwards, there were 2 roars echoing Darkrai. Luli tilde. All around Little Lugia, the wind is raging. The tyrannical wind seems to be able to tear apart the invisible normal air. He, who is also a beast, wantonly shows off his exclusive aura. Tilde. The roar of the huge Dragonite can be heard endlessly, and the energy of the Dragon 0.1 series is surging behind him. A huge dragon shadow appeared behind him. The strongest existence of the most quasi-god Dragonite family. There is no such thing as Groudon, who is far more powerful than him. Darkrai, small Lugia, giant Dragonite, and Pokémon create an aura together. Like a sharp knife, it broke the aura created by Groudon. Together with Mulin, they withstood the oppression of beasts stronger than them. Break through the boundaries of strength. Battle breakthrough. 219 Cynthia, we can't fall behind either. Pokémon, Darkrai? Attribute, evil? Ability, nightmare. When rival falls into a sleeping contest condition, rival's stamina will be automatically reduced. Level, 75, median 3rd level god. Potential, upper level 3 god. Skills, ominous wind, disable. Hypnosis, Sucker Punch, Foul Play, Double Team, Haze, Dark Pulse, exclusive skill, Dark Void, Z move, Black Hole Eclipse, Contest condition, their will to fight. Remarks, Pokémon with a legendary physique have stronger potential and faster growth. He has a natural affinity for evil energy, Pokémon, Lugia, gender, male, attribute, flying, superpower, ability, multiple scales. When the physical strength is full, the damage received will be reduced. Level, 75, median 3rd level god, potential, lower level 2 god, 26. Skills, Gust, Weather Ball, Ancient Power, Safeguard, Bianca, Extrasensory, Recover. Exclusive skill, Aeroblast, Contest condition, their will to fight. Remarks, the parents of this Pokémon are powerful and have extremely heaven-defying talents. Pokémon, Dragonite, gender, male, attribute, dragon, flying, ability, multiple scales. When the physical strength is full, the damage received will be reduced. Level, 79, upper 3rd level god, potential, upper level 3 god. Skills, Hurricane, Wing Attack, Roost, Extreme Speed, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Dragon Tail, Dragon Rush. Contest condition, their will to fight. Remarks, the Pokémon was favored by the heavens and was endowed with a long life, surviving more than 1,500 years, strong strength, gentle personality. The data of the 3 Pokémon have all changed in Mulin's eyes. Darkrai has been promoted from the original low-level 3rd level god to the middle-level 3rd level god. The huge Dragonite has been upgraded from the original middle-level 3rd level god to the upper-level 3rd level god. There is only one step away from the 2nd level god. Among the 3 Pokémon, the one with the greatest improvement is Little Lugia. From the peak of the original champion, he jumped over the lower 3rd level god, and reached the middle 3rd level god of the same rank as Darkrai. Although Mulin's Pokémon is usually very diligent in cultivation, never slack, but it has been a long time, and there is no further advancement. The reason is simple, their level has already exceeded the category of champions. In this case, if you want to advance, you need to work hard. Still need a little chance, and Primal Groudon targeted Nugtech, oppressing them. Because of this, he broke through his own shackles and reached a higher level. Facing the 3 Pokémon whose strength suddenly increased, Groudon was obviously stunned. Emotional own voice, in addition to pulling Mulin's hatred. By the way, it made rivals stronger. Gan. Unhappy is unhappy, but Groudon wasn't worried at all, because no matter how strong those 3 Pokémon were, it is also impossible to be a threat to myself who has entered Primal Reversion and is at the peak of a 1st level god. Let out a growl, trying to scare some of Mulin's Pokémon. Darkrai, Little Lugia, and Giant Dragonite were not afraid at all, and immediately responded to Groudon with their respective roars. Growl. They were not happy because of the advancement, they only wanted to vent their anger on the boss Lucario. Sensing a few Pokémon that agree with his own mind, Mulin shouted, "Go!" Yanbai Kyurem let out a dragon roar, and immediately launched an attack. Followed by Mulin's Pokémon. Cynthia realized something, and quickly threw the other 2 baby balls. Zapdos and Garchomp were released by her. Roar. Zapdos and Garchomp, who were on the battlefield for the first time, felt the horror of the crowd present. Especially Primal Groudon, the incarnation of the earth, made Zapdos, who has always been belligerent, shrink his neck subconsciously. Garchomp was also a little frightened by the scene at this moment, but soon, Zapdos and Garchomp saw that they usually trained Darkrai together. Boldly and fearlessly launched an attack on Primal Groudon. This is like a Flame 343, igniting 2 Pokémon. Zapdos, always warlike, is surrounded by lightning armor. Garchomp of the combination of Ground plus Dragon can feel the terror of the god of the earth the most. But even so, she was beaten up. Automatically entered Mega Evolution form. Seeing her 2 Pokémon raised to fight, Cynthia's pretty face was full of fighting spirit. Zekrom, Zapdos, Garchomp. We can't fall behind either. Zekrom thundered and thundered, turning into lightning and rushing out. Zapdos shouted violently, flapping his wings and rushing out frantically. Mega Garchomp transformed into a jet, followed by Sunday. 8 Pokémon, from different angles, attacked on Primal Groudon. 8 British War Groudon. 220 Groudon, this Sinister 6! With the lessons learned from Kyogre being beaten into the sea, face the attack of 8 Pokémon with different auras. Groudon didn't care. Focus on the flame white Kyurem in the front. In his perception, only the strongest flame white Kyurem can cause damage to him. After all, he is the combination of ground plus fire. It is different from Kyogre, which is restrained by attribute. Groudon is basically a qualified hexagon fighter except he can't fly. As for other Pokémon, after all, there is an advantage in rank. As long as Yanbai Kyurem can't create an advantage, they dare not shoot themselves. Mulin, who was riding on Yanbai Kyurem, gave the command immediately, Ice Burn. Come up, use the big move. Flame White Kyurem roared with energy at the tail, and the two discordant energies of ice and fire quickly condensed together. Instead, it shot out a world-killing ice and fire ray, facing Yanbai Kyurem's attack. Groudon, who had already prepared a dike, bulldozed ground with his right foot, communicating with the Emperor of Heaven and Earth. With a bang, a stone pillar that shattered the sky and pierced the sky rose from the ground. He also used his exclusive skills to meet the attacks of ice and fire. Boom! The exclusive skills of the two peak-level gods collided. There was a loud bang. The stone pillar piercing the sky was shattered inch by inch, and at the same time consumed the ray energy of ice and fire. Just when Groudon thought that Yanbai Kyurem failed to create an advantage, and the rest of the Pokémon were afraid to make a move, Mulin's voice came again. Darkrai, Dark Void. Hiss tilde. Vertical bar. The silent Darkrai appeared behind Groudon. Gather Haze's hands to form a different dimensional black hole. In the black hole, dozens of pairs of black hands stretched out to grab Groudon. Aware of Darkrai's sneak attack, Groudon felt even more angry. Bold, a mere mid-tier 3 god dares to taunt himself. Just when he was about to turn around and use a thunder attack to teach the opponent a lesson, Groudon found himself conscious, being tugged by force. The thick eyelids seemed to be pulled by a strange energy. Involuntarily, Groudon's actions slowed down. Hiss tilde. Darkrai's vigorous surge of energy kept dragging Groudon's consciousness. With a huge difference in levels, it is obviously impossible to sleep with the other party. However, under this move, it was enough to slow down Groudon's actions. Silver, Aeroblast, Big Man, Dragon God Dives. Luli tilde. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Little Lugia quickly accumulated an energy beam that would turn everything into powder. Bang on Groudon's body. Or tilde. The huge Dragonite released a terrifying murderous aura, and rushed towards Groudon. With the powerful momentum brought by his huge size, the savage tackle was on Groudon. Although the huge Dragonite is only half the size of Groudon, but with a huge impact force, it was enough to be unconscious, and Groudon was knocked out by the Aeroblast. Let Groudon, once again, experience his feet off the ground. Fly handful. Cynthia, who was rushing to the side, was not idle either. Zekrom, Dragon Claw. Hey tilde. Inky Zekrom, printing a Dragon Claw towards Groudon in flying. Zekrom is electric plus dragon, although electric skills can't cause actual damage to ground plus fire Groudon. But there are dragon skills. Immediately afterwards, Cynthia took advantage of the advantage created by Mulin and pursued the victory. Zapdos, Close Combat. Garchomp, Dragon Pulse. Zapdos and Garchomp also took advantage of this opportunity to launch their own attacks. Groudon in flying again heard several flipping explosions. Plop tilde. After Groudon flying for a certain distance, he fell into the magma. It caused the thick magma to tumbling. Soon, Groudon struggles up from the lava. Roar tilde. Groudon rage growled. The concentrated fire attack just now had little effect on him who was rough-skinned and thick-skinned. But the problem is that Jean was actually attacked by a group of Pokémon who were obviously weaker than him, especially that shadowy Pokémon. It was him who caused him to set fire. This Sinister rolled 6th. Groudon's dislike for Darkrai has risen rapidly, approaching his old enemy Kyogre. For Groudon who roared furiously, Mulin ignored him. Repeat the trick again. Kyurem, Ice Burn. Roar tilde. Yanbai Kyurem, who was blessed by the 3 divine powers of Mulin, was extremely full of energy. In addition, in the overclocking mode, the speed of accumulating energy, Wang Wang's halo is accelerated. Immediately another ray of ice and fire was shot at Groudon. Facing Yanbai Kyurem's offensive, Groudon had to defend. Can only drum up the power of the earth and form precipice blades to be tough. Once Groudon's attention was drawn, Mulin immediately asked Darkrai to use the Dark Hole. Taking advantage of Groudon's consciousness being pulled, the rest of the Pokémon launched their own attacks. Once again, Groudon was wiped out. Fly again. 07 tilde. The rough-skinned and thick-skinned Groudon got up from the lava, and could only be furious at the incompetent Pokémon of Mulin and Cynthia. Stretch. 221 Back off. I'm going to make a big move. Kyogre, who absorbs the energy of the sea by lurking on the surface of the sea, restores and eliminates the influence of the power of lightning and ice on himself. I have been watching the battle between Groudon and Mulin. Seeing that Groudon was teamed up with Beat Up, I felt a little dark in my heart. But secretly, Kyogre felt a little regretful. After all, it wasn't him who beat Groudon. No, the only one who beat Groudon violently was himself. Eliminating the influence of the power of lightning and ice on himself, Kyogre jumped out of the sea and uttered a warning wail cry. With Kyogre recovering, Mulin stopped Beat Up on Groudon. Set your sights on Kyogre who thinks he's doing it again, he said indifferently. Cynthia, you take Silver, Darkrai, and the big man to deal with Kyogre. Leave Groudon to me. Mulin was even more upset with Kyogre than Groudon. After all, he was the one who hurt Xiu. I see. Cynthia turned around with a promise and led the Pokémon. The small Lugia, Darkrai, and Giant Dragonite who received the order also changed their attack targets one after another. Seeing Beat Up's own Pokémon dispersed, leaving only a flame white Kyurem, Groudon roared immediately. 800 Roar tilde. He has no limits. Immediately sent out a precipice blade's greeting. Kyurem, Ice Burn. Flame White Kyurem, blessed by the three gods, is not in vain for Groudon's attack. Immediately returned the color. Under the energy collision, the skills of both sides collided. As before, no one can cause harm to the other party. Kyogre, on the other hand, was unambiguous. Prepare to condense the organ pulse. Darkrai made a distant shot, using the bulging haze to form a black hole of another dimension. Use the exclusive skill Dark Hole to wear down Kyogre's will and slow down the speed at which he gathers energy. When the attack came, a huge Dragonite stood in front of it. At the same time, overflow energy and built a protective shield. The little Lugia of the Flying Plus Super Energy system created a light screen and blocked it in front of the huge Dragonite. Reduced organ pulse damage. Boom. After repeated weakening, Kyogre's attack hit the giant Dragonite's shield. But the huge Dragonite, which was already resistant to water, did not suffer any damage. Mulin's three Pokémon relied on perfect cooperation to defuse Kyogre's attack. Little Lugia, Darkrai, Giant Dragonite, each Pokémon cannot stand alone against Primal Kyogre. But the combination of three Pokémon can form a resisting force. That's why Mulin is confident enough to have three Pokémon against Kyogre. Now is a good time to fight back, Cynthia said quickly. Zekrom Thunder, Zapdos, Thunderbolt, Garchomp, Dragon Pulse. Under her command, Zekrom spawned Thunderbolt, Zapdos launched Lightning Lord, and Garchomp launched Dragon Wave. All these attacks landed on Kyogre's body. Kyogre was knocked back hundreds of meters by the impact of the lightning and a Dragon Wave. The successful attack and defense boosted Cynthia's confidence. Zapdos never imagined that he would be able to fight against a level 1 god like Primal Kyogre, and his own attack just now caused a little bit of damage to the opponent. This also made him, who has always been belligerent, more aggressive. So did Garchomp, morale soaring. Scared of a chicken. Anyway, Mulin's Pokémon are resistant to damage, so they are responsible for the output. As time went by, the war situation fell into a stalemate. With the impediment of Blaze Kyurem, Groudon was completely restrained. On the other hand, Kyogre's beat up against 6 Pokémon was even worse. The attack was blocked, followed by roaring thunder and lightning. Kyogre, who is weak in electricity, is frequently struck by lightning. Both Kyogre and Groudon felt that this was not going to work. Groudon roared loudly, and the red eyes firmly locked on the flame white Kyurem. The magma under the feet is constantly boiling and surging, and the momentum is also constantly rising. Inside the body, it was spinning crazily, mobilizing the power of the earth. It is accumulating energy and preparing to launch a terrifying attack. On the other side, Kyogre also let out a loud wail call. Let the surging energy of the sea gather on his body, and he is not in a hurry to attack at this time. Like Groudon, his aura is constantly rising, and he is crazily accumulating energy, ready to unleash the big move. 2 streams of boiling energy, as well as the rising aura of the primal twin gods. Cynthia's pretty face turned pale, and she could clearly feel it. The primal twin gods are serious. Feel the imminent terrorist attack. Is it offense or defense? When Cynthia couldn't make up her mind for a while, Mulin was the first to shout, "Cynthia, back off." Silver, Darkrai, and the big ones, back off together too. For Mulin's command, the 3 handheld Pokémon obeyed unconditionally. They retreated one after another. Zekrom glanced at the horizon, as if sensing something. Without waiting for Cynthia's order, he retreated towards Slateport City. Zapdos and Garchomp, without the protection of their big brother, quickly followed and retreated. On the battlefield, only Mulin riding on Yan by Kyurem was left. Also, keep condensing energy. Primal twin gods ready to unleash a powerful attack. Cynthia, who was taken away by Zekrom, looked at Mulin from afar. Every time Mulin asked her to back off, she knew that Mulin must have absolute certainty. But the problem is, Cynthia's heart is Mulin. For Mulin at this time, he is still worried. 222 Rayquaza, soaring in the sky is the sum of the earth and the sea. Wallace, Stephen, Sabrina and others who are leading the evacuation of citizens in Slateport City. He stopped involuntarily and focused his gaze on the battlefield. The primal double gods who are constantly accumulating energy make the whole space extremely depressing. Although so far, no action has been taken. But the divine power has filled the entire world. At this time, Cynthia took a group of Pokémon and left the battlefield. Shouldn't it be better to help Mulin resist the attack of Primal's twin gods? Wallace and Stephen, who were not on the battlefield, were full of doubts. But they can probably guess that Cynthia's return must have a special meaning. But Sabrina, who was concerned but confused, didn't know this, and quickly rode on her Xatu. He urgently ordered, "Xatu, use the teleport port." Nata quickly bloomed Psychic, and brought Sabrina to Cynthia's side in an instant. "Cynthia, what's going on? Why did you return it?" Sabrina asked directly. In her desperation, her tone was blamed, as if blaming Cynthia for leaving Mulin at a critical moment. Cynthia didn't care about the accusation in Sabrina's tone at this time, but quickly replied, "Mulin asked me to come back." After speaking, He focused his attention on Mulin. Mulin asked you to come back. Hearing that it was Mulin's order, Naple's sense of blame dissipated. Riding on Xatu's body, he and Cynthia gaze at the battlefield. Mulin surrounded by primal twin gods, faced with the energy machine lock-on by the primal twin gods, the surge of energy, the momentum of primal that has been rising. Mulin didn't show any concern at all, and didn't let Kyurem act defensively. Instead, he took out a colorful stone from his bosom, and silently played with it in his hands. Primal Groudon roared, his eyes red as blood. Primal Groudon at this time seems to gather the energy of the entire earth on his body. Primal Kyogre, flying high in the sky, also completed energy accumulation. 6 dazzling blue light spheres condensed and formed in front of the body. It seems that the power of the entire sea is gathered in it. Just at the moment when the primal twin gods were about to make a move, Mulin focused on soaring in the sky. He murmured, no matter how wide the earth is, no matter how wide the sea is, after all, it can't compare to the endless soaring in the sky. While speaking, the 7-colored stone in Mulin's hand shone brightly, soaring in the sky as he gazes. The clouds have faded. The sun is gone. On top of the soaring in the sky, there is only endless turbulence. A dazzling black light protruded from the turbulent flow. Rayquaza, Mega Evolution. Mulin, holding up the colorful stone, shouted at Rayquaza, who had established a deep bond with him. In the eyes of everyone, Rayquaza, who dominates soaring in the sky, entered the Mega Evolution form. Black's skin is as bright as a black gem. Delta symbols are so mysterious. The golden ribbon is attached to the body, making Long Y even more powerful. Like a noble emperor above the 9 heavens. Kyurem, thank you for your hard work. Mulin patted Kyurem who was riding, and then jumped high towards soaring in the sky. Automatically, Mega Flash Rayquaza rushed towards Mulin, steadily caught him. The holy and tyrannical Kyurem returned to Slateport City obediently, guarding the 2 daughters Cynthia and Sabrina. Consciously give up the battle position. Mulin stroked Mega Flash Rayquaza's skin, which was several times harder than diamonds, and said in a low voice, Rayquaza, you are here. What responded to Mulin was Rayquaza's dragon chant. At the same time, Rayquaza let out a dragon cry. The condensed momentum of Primal's 2 gods is as fragile as a piece of paper, ripped open directly by Mega Flash Rayquaza. Rayquaza's domineering approach let Kyogre take back several condensed light spheres and fell back above the sea. Soaring in the sky is the territory of Rayquaza. Dare to spread your wings in front of the Lord of Soaring in the Sky. That is an abolition of the supreme myth. Groudon twisted his body uncomfortably, and the boiling magma shrank around him. Eyes lowered, looking at the myth above the sky. This is from the suppression of the blood. Soaring in the sky is the sum of the earth and the sea. In front of Rayquaza, Primal did not dare to make mistakes. On a high mountain in Slateport City, Maxie and Archie looked at each other. They both saw helplessness in the eyes of both parties. Kyogre and Groudon are their gods. May their gods, before Rayquaza. Even after entering Primal Reversion, it is still so humble. Let's start. Archie silently took out a small machine. Okay. Maxie also took out a machine. Then, the 2 pressed a button on the machine at the same time. Suddenly, changes in the battlefield. The primal twin gods who were already affected by the berserk factor, the berserk color in their eyes became more and more intense. Unrepressed, let out a violent raw growl. 223 Nothing can't be solved with 1 Mega Dragon Ascent. For thousands of years, Rayquaza has relied on the ability of Delta Airflow. Quenched many fights between Groudon and Kyogre. Over time, the suppression of the blood will be formed. Usually the primal twin gods calmed down quickly when they saw Rayquaza. What's more, the current Rayquaza has transformed into Black Flash. Let Long Y be more mighty. Although there is no Mulin's probing eye, it is impossible to accurately detect the opponent's contest condition. But from the younger brother, Rayquaza found them at this time. Go berserk. And the most important point is not to be obedient. As soon as you see him like before. What Lycongzo didn't expect was the next move of the primal twin gods. 363 Raw tilde. Grumpy primal Groudon, slamming ground with his right foot. Make the whole earth tremble. The target of Groudon's attack was not his old enemy Kyogre. It is the extremely powerful Flash Mega Rayquaza. Groudon, whose entire head was occupied by the berserk factor, subconsciously wanted to defeat the most powerful Rayquaza. At the same time, primal Kyogre jumped out of the sea, condensing 6 energy balls that glowed blue. The power of the sea came together to unleash the Organ Pulse. Kyogre, affected by the berserk factor, also shoots at Rayquaza. Raw tilde. Seeing the 2 younger brothers attacking him, Rayquaza was furious. Little brother shoots big brother. Is this usurping? Just as Rayquaza, who was in a rage, wanted to launch a thunderous counterattack, Kunlun patted the dragon scales that were harder than diamonds. Rayquaza, there's no need to fight hard. Use Dragon Dance to avoid their attacks by the way. Raw tilde. Because of Mulin's voice, Rayquaza could only bear it temporarily. With a swing of the 100-meter body, he held up Soaring in the Sky. Avoid Groudon's Precipice Blades. Although Precipice Blades is a flightless Groudon, in order to fight against the flying Kyogre, the skills created with great concentration. However, in terms of attack distance, it is always subject to certain restrictions. Kyogre's Organ Pulse, meanwhile, came later. In terms of attack distance, it plays better than Precipice Blades. Rayquaza's 100-meter divine body flew as the thick blue light entwined. Let the organ pulse shoot into the open space. Avoiding the attacks of the primal twin gods, Rayquaza's 100-meter body kept swinging along a fixed trajectory. Endless turbulence covered Rayquaza's body as he swung. Standing high above the sky, Mewlin condescendingly watched the primal twin gods rolling in the magma and seawater. The reason why Rayquaza avoided the opponent's attack just now, that's because the skills Primal used just now all used the power of life because of the Berserk. Of course, with Rayquaza's strong strength, it is also possible to resist the attacks of both sides of Primal. It's just that, it will inevitably cause some damage to Rayquaza. After all, after Primal Reversion, Groudon and Kyogre have both reached the peak level of a first-level god. This is not necessary. Team Rocket's technology has improved a lot. It seems that Mewtwo should be built by the Rockets soon. This isn't the first time Mewlin has encountered a Pokémon that went berserk because of its rampage. As time went by, Mewlin found that Team Rocket became more and more skilled at controlling Pokémon. Both Kyurem and Zekrom can be easily controlled, including the twin gods who have returned to primal form now. They can be so easily driven into complete madness. And Mewlin has a feeling that even if the primal double gods are defeated, force out the scarlet and indigo orbs in their bodies, can't seem to get them to stop berserk. But it's useless to think so much now. After all, we must defeat them first. Mewlin retracted his eyes, echoed with Rayquaza with 3 divine powers, Rayquaza, Mega, Dragon Ascent. Target, Kyogre. Being attacked by his younger brother, Rayquaza had already held his breath. I want to teach these 2 disobedient little brothers a lesson that I can't wait for. After receiving Mewlin's order, he immediately issued the tyrannical dragon chant. The aura of Mega Flash Rayquaza stirred up the entire Soaring in the sky. Driven the power of the whole 9 days, it sent a powerful charge towards Kyogre in a berserk, while Rayquaza condenses the attack. Instinctively, he retracted his body into the sea because of the powerful force. In an attempt to let the sea water gather on the body to resist Rayquaza's powerful attack. It's just that in front of Mega Flash Rayquaza, everything is a cloud. Boom. The 100-meter Mega Rayquaza is like a thick black light. Groudon savagely stirred up the whole sea. The powerful impact caused several kilometers around Kyogre, and the sea stopped flowing. Countless water mist was stirred up. In the endless water mist, Mega Flash Rayquaza turned into black light and shined again. After Mega Rayquaza left, the sea water seemed to dare to fill in the direction of the cutoff at 4.4. Kyogre, with various injuries on his body, was powerlessly floating on the sea. Mega Flash Rayquaza was pleased with Kyogre's gaunt look. Then he pointed the dragon eyes at Groudon standing on the lava. It seems to say that there is nothing in this world that a Mega Dragon Ascent can't solve. If there is, then 2 more shots. Primal Groudon immediately let out a nervous growl. 224 Groudon, Lao Tzu's orb! Standing on the heights of Slateport City watching the battle, Steven looked solemnly at Rayquaza, who crazily beat the primal double gods on the battlefield. Asked his good friend Wallace, what other Pokémon in this world can stand up to the strongest dragon Rayquaza? Wallace heard what his friend said, and said, I feel that the only one who can fight against Mega Rayquaza is Ho-Oh, who can resurrect the dead. Perhaps the legendary god Lucas can fight against such a Mega Rayquaza. Steven responded, I think Zygarde can fight Mega Rayquaza as well. Wallace shook his head, maybe, no one knows. After all, apart from Ho-Oh, these Pokémon only exist in mythology. Which of them is stronger? There is no way to know. Steven nodded and admitted, yeah, our understanding of these legends is really too little. 26. While Steven was chatting with Wallace, there was a loud boom. Just the airwaves are enough to make the whole Slateport City tremble. After resisting the blast for a while, Steven and Wallace looked into the battlefield. Mega Flash Rayquaza, led by Mewlin, using a Mega Dragon Ascent, bombard Primal Groudon. The thick-skinned Groudon couldn't bear the boundless impact of Rayquaza and fell to the ground. Both Wallace and Steven looked at each other. It's over. Look back to the battle situation. Groudon lay on his side on the magma. His solid magma armor was broken. I tried to stand up several times, but found that I couldn't do it. Kyogre is slightly better, using the buoyancy of the sea to float. But his situation was not much better. The primal twin gods were completely defeated. The high-pitched dragon chant of Mega Flash Rayquaza filled the entire Soaring in the sky, venting the might of Soaring in the sky. It's different from Rayquaza, who taught his younger brother a lesson and has a domineering face. Mewlin's expression did not relax, because Primal's physical strength and energy are both exhausted, but they still maintain the form of Primal Reversion. It stands to reason that Primal Reversion can be understood as Mega Evolution. To maintain this form, Pokémon needs to spend a lot of energy to maintain it. At this time, Groudon and Kyogre should automatically exit the Primal Reversion form due to the loss of physical strength. But, no. Rayquaza, to Kyogre. Mewlin patted Rayquaza's scales, signaling him to land. Rayquaza flew to Kyogre's side. Observing Kyogre closely, Mewlin clearly felt that Kyogre's situation was not optimistic. At this time, he can still maintain the primal reversion form, completely consuming the power of life. And in his mind, the berserk factor is still active. Rayquaza, let's go over to Groudon. Mewlin commanded Rayquaza to check Groudon's situation. It was found that Groudon was in a similar situation. He didn't calm them down by defeating them. Let the primal twin gods go on like this, and their spirits will be completely disordered. And with the constant consumption of life force, their strength will be damaged, and their lives may even be in danger. Rayquaza also noticed the abnormal situation of Primal's twin gods, and looked at his two younger brothers with some concern. After living for thousands of years, Rayquaza has already gotten used to his two little brothers. In a way, they are a relationship between big brother and little brother. It is also a relationship of friends. After all, the entire Hoenn region can live for tens of millions of years. There are only 3 of them. And these two younger brothers usually fight often, but overall, it is still obedient. Rayquaza naturally didn't want anything to happen to Primal. Mewlin felt Rayquaza's thoughts, and remembered his 3 divine powers, which happened to be able to appease the berserk factor. Then he patted his dragon scales. I may have a way. Rayquaza's dragon eyes stared at Mewlin on his back, hoping that Mewlin could help his 2 little brothers. Mewlin jumped off Rayquaza and stepped on Groudon. Groudon fell to the ground, perhaps because Rayquaza's breath was too close, or his physical strength was exhausted, so he stopped turning. He also closed his eyes, concentrating on fighting against the berserk factor in his brain. Taking advantage of the immersed Groudon, Mewlin walked all the way to the opponent's head smoothly. Put your hand on Groudon's head and pass the 3 gods into the opponent's body. As soon as he touched Groudon's head, Mewlin felt that his mind was surrounded by endless rage. Fortunately, before that, Mewlin was ready. Quickly sticking to his mind, he used the 3 divine powers to dissolve the berserk factor bit by bit. Just the frenzy factor that would drive Primal Groudon into a mad 377. It is too much. It will take at least a month to completely melt away. Groudon, who was completely tortured by the berserk factor, probably became a fool in 2 or 3 days. In desperation, Mewlin could only temporarily put the rage factor in Groudon's mind. Absorb yourself into the body. With the power of 3 gods, he may be able to imprison the berserk factor in his body very well. Then use time to slowly dissolve. After more than 10 minutes, all the berserk factors had been absorbed by Mewlin. The red orb that originally allowed Groudon to enter primal reversion was also forced out of the body by Mewlin. When I first got the red orb in my hands, Groudon's eyes, which had been closed all the time, opened. Eye roll. I saw Mewlin standing on his face, holding a red orb. Surprised by Groudon's abruptness, Mewlin let go of his hand. The red orb drops easily. Seeing the orb fall, Groudon's eyes were filled with horror. The bottom is a piece of magma. Lao Tzu's orb. 225 Kyogre. Who knows the time? Groudon, who is depressed. Is it possible to return Groudon to primal form without a vermilion jewel? Do not know. Will the red orb shatter when dropped? Do not know. Even if it is not broken, will it be melted by the magma? Do not know. Under Groudon's horrified gaze, Mewlin picked up the red orb with his 3 divine powers and held it firmly in his palm. Groudon breathed a sigh of relief. Such a dangerous operation just now really frightened him. Just when I was about to get angry, suddenly, I found that the person standing on my face was the successor of my elder brother Rayquaza. Once you touch him, big brother like Kongzo will never let him go. Groudon, who endured it, looked more or less resentfully. Forehead. You opened your eyes so suddenly, you startled me. Mewlin stroked his chest, and put the red orb into his pocket casually. Groudon. It's my fault. Rayquaza on the side issued a dragon cry and asked how Groudon was doing. In the face of the elder brother's inquiry, Groudon responded that he was fine. It's fine. Mewlin jumped up and returned to Rayquaza. Command, Rayquaza, let's go to Kyogre. Rayquaza confirmed that Groudon's consciousness had returned to clarity and ignored him. Take Mewlin to Kyogre's body. With experienced Mewlin, jump on the head of the Fathead fish. Absorb the rage factor in Kyogre's brain into the body. Use the 3 gods to imprison up. It also successfully forced out the blue orb. This time, there was no thrilling operation just now. Kyogre regained his sanity, obviously more sensible than Groudon, and issued a thankful wail cry. He knew it was Mewlin who brought him back to normal. As for Mewlin taking back his blue orb, he has no objection. Rayquaza is on the sidelines. Dare to object? Okay, I've been tossing for so long. You are tired too. Then go back to your lair. Kyogre is so sensible, Mewlin will no longer hold him accountable for hitting Lucario by mistake. And just now, he also beat him several times, which can be regarded as helping Lucario vent his anger. Kyogre uttered a wail cry and dived into the bottom of the sea. Returned to his trench. Seeing Kyogre leave, Groudon also knew that the matter should come to an end. Say hello to Rayquaza and prepare to head back towards Mount Chimney. But who knows? Mewlin stopped Groudon. Groudon, wait a moment. Groudon stopped and looked at Mewlin. He dare not listen to Mewlin's words. After all, even big brother Rayquaza listens to him. And the red orb, which can return him to primal form, is still controlled by Mewlin. When you go back, be careful to avoid the cities. Don't hurt anyone, understand? Mewlin confessed. After all, Groudon can't fly, he has to rely on his feet to return to his lair. I have to remind you! Groudon is a little depressed. He is the god of the earth. The land is his territory. How to go in your own territory, still be controlled. Hateful. But Groudon really didn't dare to resist Mulin, who was holding his handle. In case he crush grips his orb, then he won't be able to return to the primal contest condition. At that time, I will be completely pinched by Kyogre. Groudon let out a low growl, indicating that he understood what Mulin meant. Then he measured the ground with his feet, and walked back to his lair silently. With Kyogre, Groudon regained sanity. Slateport City was finally saved, too. Wallace and Steven, among others, were finally able to relax. The atmosphere was joyous. But for Archie and Maxie, who were secretly observing the battle situation in the distance, this is not good news. Leader, the distance is too far. How exactly that Mulin calmed down Primal, we don't know yet. Maxie dejectedly reported to Giovanni on a video call. Giovanni in the video shows absolutely no disappointment. Although he has never met Mulin, but he has also been to the World Earl Dervish tree, and he is very familiar with Mulin. He smiled slightly. It's okay. He should be the berserk factor in prison who kept us in Primal's body. He contains the power of Changpan, which can resolve the influence of the berserk factor. At this moment, Archie said from the side, "Boss, my plan has failed." Giovanni in the video shakes his head. Failure? No, on the contrary, we succeeded. Successful? Both Archie and Maxie looked puzzled. Giovanni seemed to be in a good mood, and said meaningfully, "Once the seed is planted, we just wait for it to bloom and bear fruit." Seeing how confident Giovanni is, Archie and Maxie stopped talking. Giovanni gave instructions, "You two come back to Kanto region first." "Yes, yes." Archie and Maxie nodded one after another. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, link in the description. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.